a couple of weeks. Let me grab my mic. Jeez, I completely forgot to put that thing right in front of me.
Ew.
Teenage Mutant Sniper. Okay. Man, you really get into the spirit of these things, don't you?
Oh yeah. But before we get into cyber rets and other stuff and gaming, I wanna segue just for a minute, if I may, into paganism, into our other mistress, because interesting permutations of thought early in the morning. So I am a little late. I mean, obviously I'm on time. We're getting rolling, but I try to be here before 8 because
Yeah.
that's when we're supposed to be here. And I rolled up a little late, but there's a reason, not an excuse, a reason. So day before yesterday, I'm out of dog food. My dog needs food. My dog is a small little animal. He doesn't understand. Like, dude, you can wait like a day and I'll get you food. He needs food like now because he thinks he's dying, right?
Right.
So I call up a friend of mine. I'm like, hey, buddy, I gotta go get dog food. You want to take me out after it's cool? Because we've had a a heat wave for the last 3 days. It's been 94 in the shade in lovely Washington,
Yeah,
right?
I actually heard. I was like going through some YouTube shorts, and I found JD Delay's channel, and he's in Eugene right now,
Right.
and he was talking about how like he was living in Florida, and then he moved back up to Washington, and he said it was like pretty hot.
Yeah, 0% humidity. It's nice.
Oh, dry heat.
Yeah, but so I go to the store and I'm pushing the little cart through the opening area for checkout. There's all kinds of people everywhere. And because I'm a little cripple boy, my feet decide, you know what? We haven't been out of the house in a couple of days. Our feet were real swollen, and now we're wearing socks and shoes and we're moving around. We don't want to go. We're just gonna throw ourselves on the ground.
Oh
So
no.
so I get thrown on the ground. Well, first I have to freak out and make sure nobody got hit by my cart that kept rolling without me, right? And then I got to get up. And as I'm getting up, somebody's like, "Oh my God, should I call 911?" I'm like, "No, do not call 911." Because it was a little tumble, right? It's not the end of the world,
Right.
right? But following that, it's like, no, my arm is all messed up. It hurts. It's now in day 3 of pains coming to the surface. It's all bruised. I think it was swollen, right? And we're talking about a toes to chest belly flop. It wasn't a very long fall, but you landed on your arm, and your arm ain't happy about it, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, you and I, we sometimes talk about pagan stuff here. We get our weird magical wooji on people, right? Uh, and anybody who's familiar with Norse heathenism, they hear that tell that, like, you know, Odin only takes people who die in battle. To die in bed is to go to the non-existence of Nephilim. I put forth the following: if Odin is a god of battles, okay, and Tyr is a god of justice, right? Then how is my life not a freaking struggle? I should have died when I was born. They said I wouldn't survive the first 24 hours. Then they said I would have all kinds of developmental problems. I'm a college graduate, okay? And I'm still making do. And I still, my body has little scars and nicks and beats and bruises and all stuff all over every day from getting by. My life is a battle. I think I'm due at least some consideration.
At least a little. Yeah.
I don't think in a developing world that great powers that may or may not be, are the kind that would go, well, you didn't die murdering somebody with a sword, so you just don't get to go. I think that's a little prosaic, don't you?
I think a little too on the nose.
Yeah.
But Alex, welcome to the stream, man. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
I
Sorry
got it.
a little late this morning.
That's okay, man. That's okay.
You're allowed to be late. I'm the one who's not.
I posted this to Twitter last night before I went to bed because I actually went back. Like Cyber Rats is one of those games where I I saw the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles inspiration. I was like, oh, I'm gonna love this. Like, I'm vaguely familiar with XCOM. I've played it a little bit on my PlayStation, and it was fun. But I went back and I watched the 1990 movie. And
One of the best adaptations, honestly.
the best, the absolute best. And when I saw those like father son references and those dynamics, dude, like when I was a kid, I'm sitting there watching it. My dad's in his recliner, and I'm watching it. And I'm just enamored that the heroes are on screen. This is amazing. It's live action. These stuntmen in 60-pound suits were pulling off all kinds of amazing stuff, and I was just
Oh,
bug-eyed.
every
And
so often, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but every so often, like on the internet, I will be amazed by people saying truth, rather than saying what's convenient. And a TMNT movie just came out, the one that
yeah,
everyone's talking about.
It's also
But
pretty good.
but there was an article that somebody made where they said the 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is still the best, and that's okay. And it's like, yeah, no, it's still better than even the most recent
but here
animated
I am
feature.
in my 40s now watching it, and it hit me in all the feels, and I'm like, holy crap! Now looking at it now as opposed to when I was like, I don't know, 9 or 10, I'm looking at it going, wow, this was some deep storytelling I missed on the first 100 or so viewings. Wow, it was amazing. It truly, truly, I can see where the inspiration was. And just before we get kicked off, I wanted to show this off because everybody needs to see this. So when you order the hardcover, this is what you're getting, ladies and gentlemen. This bad boy right here. Not a big book. On top of that, it's fun, and we're going to be going through the PDF, so you get to see what's inside. This is totally worth it.
So I want to jump into two things very quick.
Yeah,
First,
go ahead.
I think we only have 2 hardcovers left, and we will never be reprinting in hardcover. All future reprints will be paperback.
Oh wow.
It just is not economically feasible, unfortunately, to do the hardcovers.
You know what? You could still do hardcovers. If you do them like print on demand.
Yeah,
Those are okay. They work.
it's hard to do the quality that we want at a
Yeah.
price that we're okay charging people. Quite frankly.
True.
Yeah, I could get into that for a long time. But the other thing I want to say very quickly on the 1990 TMNT movie is everyone should watch it, but it is critical that you do not watch it in 4K. You want that DVD quality because you can actually see into the suits sometimes and like see the people inside. So like, do not like the worst quality is a better experience.
And here,
If you look close enough, you can actually see Corey Feldman's career.
oh, hey, don't knock on Feldman, man. He did really well in that movie.
He's actually great. He is. I mean, he's got some strife, but he is an example of like a Hollywood can-do story because he's never been as big as he was in like Lost Boys, but he's never been down.
That's true. That's very true.
They've never put him out.
On top of that, there's the scene where Casey knocks Raph into a garbage can. The garbage can falls over, and he's like struggling to get out of it. And then you see when he does get out of it, he's desperately like pawing at his face. That's because the actor's nose got broken, and he was actually trying to like take control of, I guess, trying to stop the bleeding, and he forgot he was in a big freaking mechanical rubber mask. I was like, oh, that's got to be grueling.
That happened to a friend of my old man once.
Which part?
Quick real life story. So my old man was a member of the first, and as far as I know, only mobile SCA domain, because it was on a aircraft carrier, right? And they had an event while they were in port. They actually had everybody get together and swing swords at each other type thing on the aircraft carrier because they got space, right? So my dad used to do what was called heavies. It wasn't live steel where you're actually wearing full armor and swinging real swords, but they would use rattan, which is like a grass, wrapped in electrical tape, and wear like medium armor, what we'd call in RPGs, right? And a friend of his went out and was in the lists and having a lot of fun, and he took a crack to the face, right? And he was fine, right? And after the round, after he stepped out, he undoes his chin strap, and he pulls off his like sugarloaf style helmet, okay? And just blood is running down his face. It's the coolest looking, most metal thing ever. Because when he got cracked in the face, it broke his glasses over the bridge of his nose.
Oh,
And so he just had this big wound, and just. But the thing is, you imagine seeing it, it's like that is both horrible and really metal.
that's both are equally true. Now, I gotta ask this one question because I really want to know. Aside from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, tell us how this game like starts to form in your mind here.
So the like every game designer, I played Shadowrun, and I said, "Oh man, there's so much cool stuff in this game, in this world. Some of these mechanics are great, but it's really, I feel like I have to fight it to play it." And I I fully believe that Shadowrun has created more game designers than any other game. And this isn't my first game, but I said, you know what, I'm going to make a Shadowrun game. And I started writing down the things that I loved about Shadowrun, one of which is the initiative system, where if you're familiar with it, you roll a bunch of dice, and then basically every 10 points you get to go again. So if you get 20 points, or if you get 21 on your initiative, you go on 21, 11, and 1. Whereas if you get 19, you go on 19 and 9. So the higher you get, the more you get to do. And I love that system.
Every so often among my peers we'll discuss games, and like if somebody says, well, why don't we play Shadowrun, I always say it is the best setting for the worst mechanics.
Exactly.
Not because any one mechanic is bad. Like you said, the initiative's actually quite neat. It's similar to impulses in Starfleet battles, where if you're going faster, you go more often. But like the actual number crunching for how much magic you lose versus how many cybernetics you take is just straining your teeth with coffee. It's just, oh god.
For Shadowrun 5th edition, I ran a campaign for about a year, and I had a flow chart that I made just to resolve a single weapon attack. Like it's
Right.
too much.
Right.
Like I've noticed with the Sixth World primarily, because when I was getting back into this, and this has only been like in the last maybe, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 years, because I lost all my RPG stuff. It wasn't much, but it was still, everything I had. I lost it in my move from the South to here. And I remember kind of thinking, oh, that sucks. And I was like, okay, well, I could get some of it back. And I just never did it again. I never did start getting into it again. When I started looking up some of the stuff that I wanted to get back, I was like, oh, yeah, those prices are, that's not going to happen. And someone had told me about the clones that were out there. So I started picking those up, and I was like, okay, I think these will kind of do. But when I started picking up the newer editions of certain games, I was kind of looking through them, Shadowrun specifically. And I was kind of oh man, see you later, Grendel.
Oh.
Thanks for stopping by, dude. But yeah, I started looking at those mechanics and things like that. I love the lore. The lore is awesome. I had absolutely no problem with it. And I personally looked at it and I was like, okay, this is good if you want to take a break from, say, like D&D type games. You want to play something a little more sci-fi, but you have that group split, and this is the nice compromise for me. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I can work with that. But I think the more I started looking into it, there were certain things that just didn't make sense to me. Like there's the is I can't remember specifically, but something to do with the cyberware and like the virtual world that you can go into. It like you can't put certain things together, and I was like, why?
Yeah.
Like that made no sense to me. And I just kind of after looking at a few of those, I just kind of put it up on my shelf and went. I hear I think second edition was probably the best of it. You know,
It really depends who you ask, but
it really does. Yeah, there are people who like certain editions. I mean, hey, welcome to the edition wars, right?
exactly.
But I remember thinking, this is gonna be it's gonna be difficult as hell to run. I mean, still liked it, but I was like, it's gonna be difficult as hell to run. Now I'm just kind of like, you know what? I'm trying to trade that thing off.
Yeah.
You see me now, a veteran of the RPG edition wars.
Yeah. And good morning, Damnus. Good to have you
Damn
aboard.
this bastard.
Yeah.
But
he's working on some stuff right now.
On the subject of cyber rats, what I like the most, even though it seems a little silly to some people, is the XCOM elements. I like the idea that you start your game with an implicit sort of out of character overview domain management where it's like, here is your team, gear up your weapons, here is your mission, prepare your base, right? And then you descend proverbially into the first person narrative where you're basically the colonial marines from Aliens as rats going, how do I get out of this chicken shit outfit?
Yeah, the Shadowrun, basically as soon as the Lumen system came around, I threw out everything that I had written about Shadowrun and said, okay, what if I just keep parts of the setting, which is we have these big terrible megacorps. I pared it down to 3 because no one wants like anytime when there's enough lore that it is an obstacle to play, that's too much lore for me. If I'm like, hey, I want to play Shadowrun, I need all of you to internalize these 20 corporations. Here's 20 things about the setting. I'm going to lose a lot of people. And the lighter the setting can be, I think the easier it is to touch base with that. So I threw out everything that I wanted to, I kept the vibes of Shadowrun.
See, this is the I'm gonna give my opinion.
It's definitely light. I will give you that. It's light, and I think the one thing I keep telling people, and this is probably the most important thing about the game that I noticed going through the PDF before I got the book. I was like, you guys don't understand. This game looks like so much fun. This is fun around the table. This is not, I need this, that, and the third. I need this, I need that, and then the GM taking, whatever they've prepared, and then suddenly having to narrow it to a point where they're basically almost unable to move. It's pretty much wide open for everyone as long as you have like at least that modicum of a sense of humor, and you're able to sit around a table and go, oh yeah, let's gear up some rats to do some sick insane shit.
See, people who are like more qualitative critics will be like, you have to save your criticisms and your critiques to the end. But I'm going to say, no, heck with that. It's our show. We want to effuse and say nice things about the game we can. The thing that I like the guideline that I say, this is what makes a good game, even if there are potentially mechanical bits that's like a little fiddly, is as we're sitting here talking, I just had a campaign idea, and I'm like, oh, I would play that. I would play that so hard. I like the idea that this is a game where you basically play Bebop and Rocksteady for corporates, and your boss is Stockman for the Foot Clan, right? Because you can straight up do a TMNT game where it's like, okay, PMC Ratos, you're going to go hunt down those ninjas in the sewers, and you're not going to, and you don't come back unless you come back successful. And it's like,
yeah.
Oh man.
Or alternately, your character could be like a mix of Master Splinter, just about any Clint Eastwood archetype from the Man with No Name, and Snake Plissken.
Yeah, but here's the thing: are you if you're Clint Eastwood, does that mean I'm Tuco? or am I Angel Eyes?
That would be amazing, actually. I mean, you could go with the Oh, was it for? I think it's for a few dollars more. Where it's not Angel Eyes and Bloody. It's Clint Eastwood's character and Lee Van Cleef from that movie.
Yeah,
The competing bounty hunters.
right. I mean, you could also do the Magnificent Seven as rats. You know?
Totally.
We have come to save the day.
The interesting thing so you mentioned like having campaign ideas. So Cyber Rats comes with a campaign. It like the system is tied to a campaign. And the reason for that is there's a lot of games that I see, especially on Kickstarter, that are like, this is the last RPG you'll ever play, or that throw out that want to be a game that you play for years and years. I do a lot of one-shots. I do a lot of short campaigns. I really like making games that have an end in mind. And the end of Cyber Rats, canonically, is that you lose. Like, this is a game you're meant to lose.
Right.
It's possible to win. I've played with groups that have won. But there is a campaign in here, and that campaign is either the aliens invade. Like, that is the primary losing condition. They're already here. Second, the other megacorp, your rival megacorp, defeats them. That is also a very common lose condition. The only way to win is to stop your rival from saving the world. Like, it's not enough that the world is saved. It has to be you and your team getting credit for it.
That is cool.
And that's honestly, that just comes from a place of corporate satire. There's a lot of that in this game.
Well, even if you do like defeat your foes, if your characters get really beefy because they've been around for a while, right? They did a bunch of stuff, and you were a cruel DM of a serious mind. Hi. You could do a story where it's like, okay, guys, you have exactly 3 missions left. What? Why do we have 3 missions left? Well, it turns out that the biotech that was used to create you is actually unstable, and your body has been burning itself out the entire time, and you have 3 missions before you turn into goo. Make the best use of it. It's like, so like go out like heroes or die like a rat? It's like, yeah. It's like, oh, okay.
Or you've got that whole Three Amigos thing where it's you will die like dogs. It's like, no, we will fight like rats.
Exactly.
Wait, badges? Do we get badges? We don't need no stinking badges.
But I mean, there again with the element of potentially losing, that just brings up shades of like 10 Candles, because 10 Candles is another one of those games where the ultimate outcome is your character's going to die.
Yes.
It's what they do between the time the game starts and the time the game finishes that counts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, there's a lot of character death in this game. I mean, everyone starts with 2 interns, and the assumption is that like interns are so quick to make because you might need 3 or 4 or 5 by the end of a campaign.
Okay, so if I ever run this before we actually play it, I just play that skit from Whitest Kids You Know, where the intern goes to get his parking validated, and while he's doing it, the boss is like, "Hey, can you hand me that mortar behind the couch?" What? Because it's like there's a sniper in the next building over, and he's trying to take a shot at me. But if I take a shot at him with a spotter, I can just get him before he gets me. That's business. It's like
the interns are very expendable in this game, and you play as the interns.
So elements of paranoia as well.
Oh, for sure.
It's like
we are bullet sponges.
You are Red Squad. If you try hard, you might get to be Orange Squad one day.
Like, wait a minute, I don't think we get paid enough to do this. You don't get paid at all.
Yeah, we get paid?
When? Never.
Again, that's like the best character interaction. Is there's your rats, and somebody says, "Man, I don't get paid enough for this." And so other rat looks and goes, "Are we supposed to be getting paid?"
In the words of Dikembe Mutombo, not today. So you also took inspiration from, let me get back here. So we covered Shadowrun, XCOM, TMNT naturally. Animorphs. Okay, these are the two I haven't heard of. Band of Blades and Atlas Reactor. Those are the only two I haven't heard of. I have heard of the Animorphs, but I've never really delved into that one.
For me, Animorphous is the weird one out, because that's a young adult kid series that's positive. This is a kind of sleazy.
Have you read Animorphs?
I have not read, but I've been told about how awful it is. The slugs are terrifying.
So, like, calling it positive is
a stretch.
Yeah,
the thing is
harrowing.
The thing is, my brain is still filled with that Nickelodeon series.
Oh no, that was a very bad adaptation.
Yeah.
So I'll talk briefly on those three. So Band of Blades is a spin-off of Blades in the Dark, where you are a military squadron that is basically hunting zombies. And what I took and it does the same thing that we do, where you kind of zoom out and do the operations view and then zoom into like the battle. And what I took from Band of Blades specifically is the 3-mission structure. Every single time you play Cyber Rats, you're presented with 3 missions, and you have to choose one of those to fail, one of those to attempt that we actually play out, and one of them that you just roll dice and see, did we do it or not? And again, you have 2 interns or 2 operatives. You send one onto the primary mission that will play, and you send one to the mission that we roll. And depending on how good they are, you get more dice when we roll it. Atlas Reactor is a defunct video game that I love. It was basically XCOM, except it was player v player, and everyone acted in stages. So you would like lock in what your moves are, and then you'd hit go, and everyone would do their moves at the same time. So there's a lot of like predicting where people are going to be. It was extremely tactical, extremely biopunk. If you look up the artwork for Atlas Reactor, especially the character Rask, you'll see that like we took some influence there. I love that game, and there's been nothing like it since it went offline a couple years ago. I got 5 years ago now. And Animorphs, it's hard for me to point to a specific Animorphs influence, but I was rereading the books at the time I wrote this, and it was seeping into everything. Like, that is a book about kids who get drafted into a war, an intergalactic war. You know, we've got the alien invasion element, and they can't tell anyone about it because, like you said, they're slugs. Anyone they know could at any time be taken over by these mind-controlling slugs, the Yeerks, and they wouldn't be able to tell. So you've got these kids who are like in high school trying to manage their daily life while being literally the only ones who can save the planet. And they can't tell their parents, they can't tell their friends. Even if they know, like, even if you tell someone today you're sure that they're not a slug, they could get captured tomorrow and you wouldn't know. And the only defense that they have is, one, the aliens think that the kids are aliens and not humans. So they're not looking for high schoolers, they're not looking for kids. And two, one alien gave them the power to turn into any animal they touch, and there's a zoo nearby. So they're like turning in, like, and it's body horror. It really is. Like, you hear, like, they describe their bones stretching and collapsing, and as they morph into these tigers and things, and then they go and they kill these like, the second book is a character dealing with PTSD from the fact that, like, she turned into a rat and wanted to, like, eat like decaying flesh, like had this overwhelming urge to eat this, and is like toying, like, am I still human? They're great books, and like calling them kid books is like technically true, but who Nelly.
Every so often we'll get into big gamer talk, because gamer talk, and I'm always pushing a narrative. I push narratives that adventurers are crazy. And people are like, what do you mean? What do you mean adventurers are crazy? It's like, look, man, once you become a person who doesn't have a day job, who decides to go into dungeons for a living and almost get murdered, that because you're broke and you might come out rich for the next 6 months, that's a little crazy, right? That's like a prospector model. And that's your standard fantasy game. But I tell people, like, no, it applies to everything. PCs are insane. And they're like, well, what do you mean? It's like, I'm a World of Darkness fan, right? And I straight up tell people, it's like, just consider how different you are once you know the World of Darkness really exists, and all the things you can't tell people. Because if you did tell people, they'd think you're crazy, and even if you did, they would die. Their friends would die. So many unnatural forces would come down like a hammer to protect their secrecy. So you can't tell anyone. Being a
Yeah.
hunter specifically is not like, oh, I fight monsters and then I have nibbles. It's like, oh god, I need the alcohol.
And even I saw Moose said, dang, I didn't know Animorphs went that deep. Apparently, I didn't either. Like,
So
I had seen the books, but I never picked one up. So I couldn't.
the author made all of the ebooks free a few years ago.
Oh,
I will.
They're
I
very
will
easy to
definitely check
find.
that out now.
They're worth your time. Like, I
uh,
loved them as a kid and went and reread them because I missed quite a few. I told my wife, and she was like, "I'm not like these are kids' books. I'm not gonna." She read 2 and she was hooked. Like, and there's a lot of them. I think there's 54 of them, 54, 55.
see,
But they're so good.
I just had like a really deep, stupid thought that would not come up in a game, but should, right? Of cyber rats. So we have to assume that the corporations are breeding more rats because rats breed fast, right? So they have like rats in cages doing ratty things, right? Once you
Rats in
become
cages.
once you become a cyber rat, right? It's not like an immature question. We're not gonna be kids and go, does your dingus still work? It's like it's not that, right? But wait a minute, you're a cyber rat. Your life is truncated. You're now sentient. How do you have relationships with other rats? Right? And I don't just mean like, oh, the one girl rat because this is a Transformers analog and we always have one girl character. I mean, no. You are now smart enough. You can't mingle with the normal rats. Right? You go to the lab, you look in the cage, the rat's like, got any garbage? It's like, dude, you are in a cage.
No, I don't have any garbage.
Right? He's like, but you have cheese. It's like, no, bro, you are in a cage. You got to get out of here. But why? They give me food. It's like, they are going to turn you into me. What?
What's wrong with that? You can go get garbage whenever you want.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but boy, there's a price, and if you're not willing to pay it, goddamn it, stay in that fucking cage. You know?
Right. And I'm serious. As silly as it sounds, it's like you can't have a little ratty date with a little femme rat that you used to be sweet on in the cage. Because you're a
No.
cyber rat now. It's like, sign off everything you wanted to do when you were a rat. Your life belongs to the corporation now. Give it up.
And this is a good point. He said, I read a few as a kid, but that's pretty mature perception capture. But I also thought, thought provoking. Makes me think of when people say, I bet it's easy to being a dog, and I'd trip myself out thinking about it. That's very true. Like I've actually wondered, what would it be like to be like Mr. Bub, my house cat. He just, that's what he does. And this morning, let me tell you, he was an absolute terror. I went to the bathroom. I was just trying to conduct business. And this dude is out here because it's like 10 in the morning. So he thinks, oh, I get fed in an hour. I should start, trying to get that to working now. He is tearing up everything on the coffee table. He's running around the living room, meow, meow. And I'm like, you're not getting fed yet, dude. And I'm thinking, okay, this kid is like hungry all the time. So if I get fed at certain times of the day and I'm just running around hungry all the time, and every time, I'll say this, every time I go in the kitchen, he stands on his hind legs and does this stuff here. And I'm like, how easy does he really have it? Yeah. Really? So I'm not, and then there's this, not knowing language, weird smells you could register, etc. Very true. Or, hey, he's going into the kitchen, I'm getting food,
I mean, that's my. I have two favorite episodes of Red Dwarf for anyone who remembers the older late '80s, early '90s sci-fi.
Yeah.
But the one, my first favorite is called The Inquisitor, which is not relevant. But the other one's called DNA, because they find a DNA manipulating device. Okay, and they're trying to figure out what to do with it because it's a great opportunity. And at one point, the only human character gets turned into a mouse, and then he gets turned into a chicken, and then he gets turned back to normal. And his cat friend and the android ask him, it's like, what was it like being a mouse? And the only thing he can say is like, it's better than being a chicken. All I could think about was how much my bum itched. You know?
That's Lister, obviously.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you could go process elimination. That's not going to be.
Let's be honest here, Raven. I know that you're saying like you could play Man with No Name Rats, but really, you should play Lister in Cyber Rats.
It's why I've been saving. It's part of my 5-year plan. That's why I've been saving up and not buying stuff like soaps and deodorants and that kind of thing.
you have your 4 players, and one of them is Lister and one of them is Rimmer, and the one that's Rimmer is the one that drank deep on the corporate Kool-Aid, and he's the one that wears the little uniform, and it's like, you're a nothing, you have nothing. It's like, I got me plan.
I've got me 5-year plan.
It's like
you've got two operatives, so you can be both.
Yeah,
you personally can do both.
Right.
And then there's this. I'm gonna say this. I guess this is the mascot Tippy.
Yeah,
I love that because my mom actually had a miniature Doberman named Tippy. We used to say she looked like a rat who got fed experimental something or other, and they went, well, now it's a dog. And when I saw Tippy, I was like, oh, my mom's gonna love this. But the whole thing kicks off with this note, particularly to the recruit, that would be the player. And like this training manual is proudly sponsored by the beverage most purchased from our vending machines, Drank, now available in thrilling cool fist flavor. Drank, it's wet. But let's see. I mean, you got the entire table of contents here, which works. I wanted to say this. Normally, I'm that guy. I wrote an entire article about safety tools. This is something that's come up recently, and this is one of those things that there's a big point of contention, but this is one little paragraph here, and you opened it up with, it's a game about incredible violence. It encourages you to explore the lives of soldiers and the tender moments they share in order to survive. We recommend safety tools in all games, but specifically for Cyber Rats, we recommend agreeing on a level of detail with respect to violence, using lines of veils to fade to black or gloss over, which fading to black on certain things is just going to happen anyway, or gloss over sensitive scenes. Games are only fun when everyone is comfortable. And that was it. Like, it wasn't, and I've got a few games with like pages long diatribes about what to do, what not to do. And I'm like, and I was actually enjoying reading it until I got to those parts, and I'm like, and I'm having to find where it stops so I can go on. But this is like, just, there it is. It's like, okay, here's this, let's get on with the game. And then you immediately jump into rules light, which it is. It's very, very rules light. And a tactical role-playing game with emphasis on the tactical. I especially like that, going through it, because immediately I was like, okay, this is the kind of thing. I know there are some rat men from one-page rules that would absolutely work for this game. And that's the kind of thing I would just have those, 3D printed up, and I just use my battle mat. So something like this would be so easy to map out and turn into almost, you do have that war game element here, which, I know you say later that that kind of thing might bog it down a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think it would bog it down that much. Have you ever played it using a battle mat with tokens or miniatures, or did you just go theater of the mind with it?
When I do a lot of play testing. We're working on an expansion right now, and I do it in Roll20. I do tokens. I don't measure everything out to the distance, but I say, okay, these things are at close range. This is probably near. This is probably far. But I keep it moving. I don't do it where I say, okay, this guy's exactly 5 squares away, so that's But I do bring out the tokens personally.
Yeah, and I know you broke it down into like near, far, wherever close. You are.
Close, near, and far from you.
Yeah, and that made it like so much easier. A lot of these like war games, they do have like, you do have to use like a tape measure or like
Right.
a little ruler or something like that. With stuff like battle mats, it's a grid, so you can easily just kind of count squares.
Right.
I think this works really well with a battle mat, or the GM could just have graph paper there and kind of map it out. As long as everybody's on the same page, theater of the mind is completely possible.
Yep.
But I personally, I do like. I can't remember exactly where, but let's see. Let's go back up to the table of contents. We'll find that combat section here. Performance reviews, spending script, base building.
Looks like 60. 61.
61. Okay, let's do. I'm probably going to miss the mark because it's probably going to count that. Here we go. 61. Here we go.
Maybe just a little further down.
Tippy says,
if any victory meter reaches 10, you immediately lose. Victory meters can never go below 0.
Yeah,
okay.
Victory meters are your opponents.
Right.
Winning, not you.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, that's basically how do you win. So get in the 3 missions must be completed in this order. Get intel from military about where its next major operation is. Shut down Valdivian to display the op. Infiltrate the mothership. Take out the interlopers, giving credit to the correct megacorps. There it is. Combat.
It's actually 63. So I just noticed the printed version has the correct table of contents. This PDF is off by 2 pages. I will have a new PDF. But if one of them has to be wrong, I would rather it be the digital one.
Yeah.
You mean the one that's easier to fix?
Yes. I will fix that. I'll make a note here.
Interesting enough, as we were talking, because Wolfgar and I get very enthusiastic, but we can't talk simultaneously.
We do.
We try. I was going through the equipment section up in the 20s, and every time I like, okay, I'm going to say this, I'm going to make a plan. My brain gets destroyed by finding something interesting in the book. I just saw a flamethrower with a cup holder.
Yes!
Our Boog, Patrick Synott is our artist, and he immediately understood exactly what we were aiming for.
Well, I was looking at the weapon charts, and I'm like, okay, so like I could make a plasma gun multi-shot with sticky, so it fires sticky plasma that scalds you, and it fires multiple bursts of it, and just go, and then I'm looking like, oh, they got leech, so it can be like vampiric. I can shoot people and like absorb energy off of them. And it's like, yes, I'm getting stronger. And then just right there on the next page, it's like, that is a flamethrower with a cup holder, son of a. What the hell?
Yeah.
Because
that sounds like a rat that would be like Jeffrey the Dude Lebowski, only not so mellow, Or no, Walter. That's Walter. He's, I'm fucking this up. And of course, his intern, the dude, is right next to him. Hey, man, there's a beverage there, man. Just like completely freaking out that his white Russian is sitting in the cup holder while Walter's just like swinging this thing around.
Well, this is why I say I like the idea of campaigns, because then you could start a game, right? You could run for a bit so people could die. Some new players could come in, right? And they got their new rats, and the new rats are like young and fresh faced, like, hi, my name is Squicker, right? And then you have the old rats, and you got one dude who's sitting there in like a Mickey Mouse style helmet, but instead of the ears being ears, the ears are beer cans, and he just has like hoses going into his mouth. He's like, hi.
And here it is. So it does not use a grid for movement, does not have precise locations. Combat happens in 3 ranges, close, near, and far. Close means a few steps away, within melee range. Near means across the room, no more than a quick sprint away. Far is anything beyond that, but still visible if barely. So anyone who's farther away than far can't be targeted by any attacks or powers, so you pretend they don't exist. Basically, you're not going to be able to get a lock on them. You're not Bradley Cooper's character in American Sniper. But let's see. I know there was an entire. Here we go. Actions that can't fail, moving, reloading, help, etc., do not require rolls. this is another point of contention that has been brought up before. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. So one of the things that has come up is dice fudging for game masters. This one line to me takes that completely out of the equation, because one of the things that I agree with people who there are like people like Seth Skorkowski who have mentioned that in the past he's had games where maybe his enemy's a little overpowered, or maybe his characters are a little overpowered. He doesn't want to nerf them, but he realizes they're just kind of breezing through every challenge he throws in his way. So he has to raise their challenge level for the players. And likewise, there are, enemies he's thrown at him that maybe are little too overpowered. So he kind of has to nerf them a little bit because he doesn't want a total party kill right then. And he realizes in the moment, hey, that's where it could result. But here we go. This is one of the things I agree with those who say no fudging at all, or say if your action's just going to succeed anyway, just don't roll. And here it is: moving, reloading, help, etc. That doesn't require a roll, so you don't have to worry about that. Alex has taken that out of the equation. And then on the subject of like throwing something overpowered at the characters and realizing in the moment that you might have, what are your thoughts on that?
So, I mean, that depends a lot on the game that you're playing. If you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, it's a very different equation. But specifically for the realm of cyber rats, there's first, the thing that helps mitigate it a little bit is that if you go to the enemies section towards the end of the book, you basically unlock the enemy, or you encounter the enemies in order. I don't have the page on hand.
I think it's 81. I'm looking at enemy phase here.
Well, again, it's kind of XCOM. Like you start with the simplest enemies.
Here we go.
You have the next most complicated enemies, and then you have the next most complicated enemies, and then you're fighting commanders.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, in this right here, powerful adversaries either from the book or add powerful adversaries either from the book or create your own. You've got right here, Cyber Rats is meant to be a difficult game, but sometimes losing isn't fun. That's true. Losing sucks, but if you're as long as you're learning from it, you're fine. If the struggle is later in the campaign, cap threat at 3 and add an extra 2.5 threat level that acts as 2. And this way, the threat level rises more slowly from dangerous to deadly. On the other hand, if the missions are too easy, you have a number of options to increase difficulty. Most obvious is to add more stronger enemies, but you can also get creative, like give the enemy more conditions like glowing red, green, or blue, meaning they can only be harmed by attacks using smash, cyber, or slide respectively.
See, that's when the big conversations about fudging come up, that's always my point of contention. Is I have a friend who is really competitive. Right? He likes winning and he likes playing, but he hates losing. Like he gets really sour when he just is having a bad night. And as a DM, it's your job to try and make the game enjoyable. It's not fudging. It's not ruining the game. It's not cheating to adjust your sliding scale of content so that he has a better chance of not sucking at everything because the dice gods just decided they hate him today.
You have to adjust within the framework you're playing. If you're in a narrative game, there's no reason to fudge. If you're playing something as fiddly as D&D, you might have to do it just to make sure that people are having fun. And that's exactly what it comes down to. If you jump to page 109 in the PDF here.
Hey, Wolfgar. Wolfgar, do you have any biotech? I am feeling it. I need some bio.
No. Let's see. It's 108.
Come on, man. I'm good for it. I'll give you my cheese later.
So these 3 pages, these 3 pages are the enemies that you encounter in order. So they basically from top down and then all the way over to the bottom right is like your office worker is the simplest Valdivian enemy, all the way up to the custodian is their big boss.
Oh my God, their big boss is the janitor. Oh wow! I'll be honest with you. That was one I did want to bring this up because I was like, okay, I was not expecting that, because right here you have conscripted soldiers, you have mobile turrets, bioenhanced soldiers, gunner drones, enhanced humans, middle management. We never saw the CEO. We just saw the janitor.
Yep.
Look, Wolfgar, you're
It'll
gonna
be the last time you defile my toilets.
Look, Wolfgar, we're gonna infiltrate through the primary water access. We're gonna enter into the information hub, and we're gonna break into the command center, and we're gonna steal emails off of their computer system. Okay.
And that's when Leroy the janitor shows up with that big cigar in his mouth, and he's like, "I don't think so, boy."
Right, because Leroy the janitor is like, "Goddamn rats coming up in my toilet, leaving little wet footprints all over my cubicles, and they're breaking into the big man's office. That ain't gonna happen."
He's rubbing Irish Spring on all the door jams.
If you look just above the custodian, the middle management, one of their moves is to threaten to call the CEO. But like ultimately, what's he gonna do? He's just a guy.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll call the CEO. CEO. Yeah, what's going on? Oh, rats. Well, I'll just send Leroy after him. I'm sure he'll get rid of them.
Exactly.
That's where I think that could be the trigger for Leroy the janitor. It would be awesome. And then there's the military, and you got these super soldiers, drones, biotech personnel, stuff like that, and then this classified, where all the important stuff is redacted.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, my butt puckered. I was like, "Oh shit!"
And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have this. I'm in the megacorps. Who do we work for? As the sole heiress to the Ben's underwater excitement park, Octavia took control after her father died conspicuously in an intercorpo water. She owns the world's largest puzzle box collection, and she is also rumored to be 5 octopuses in a skin suit.
Oh.
That's not a joke. I suspect it might be true.
I suspect this might have crossover with the Wretched verse, particularly there be the setting of the Beyond.
I'm not familiar.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
You've got to check out the Red Room sometime. They have this series of games called the Wretched verse, and it goes from Wretched. You got stuff like Wretched Bastards, Wretched Country, Wretched Epoch, Wretched Exploitation, Wretched New Flesh, which is biopunk. I think that's firmly where your game might have some crossover. Wretched Space, Wretched Apocalypse, Wretched Darkness, and they're working on a second edition, so they're DOGLing all of their games.
Sure.
But they do have this Wretched role playing game, which is the core book, and all the rest are now going to become like settings that are connected to it. But yeah, they have like this multi-genre sort of spaghetti western, spaghetti punk is what it's been called, vibe to it.
They kind of riff 70s and 60s exploitation film and are really unapologetic about it.
Okay.
It is pretty amazing stuff. I've got a lot of them right up here on my shelf.
The thing you gotta understand about the Red Room, the company that does the Wretched verses, it's 2 people. It's a married couple, Miguel and Sylvia, and Miguel is pretty straight laced. He's pretty cool. Sylvia is cool as well, but she is, I think, the troublemaker because she was the primary writer on a adventure that they didn't. It's not what got them in trouble. What finally got them in trouble was printing someone else's book. But she wrote an adventure called Labia, The Curse of the Haunted Vagina.
Okay.
Which is like a very
Well,
which is like a very,
we don't want to get that content strike there.
It's like a very Hammer movie style adventure. If you think back to like the late 60s Hammer movies with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, where there was always a woman with a generous bosom in a low cut shirt who was about to scream. That's totally their game style.
Well, when I first saw the cover of Labia, I went, "Someone has watched Wicked City, and she's never seen it." And I was like, "Oh, you have got to see this movie."
What sold me on them was people were losing their chill over a game,
no joke.
over an adventure called Sexual Holocaust. And I'm a little stiff-necked about naughtiness in my RPGs. I'm like, you don't need that. But I said, fine, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to see what the big problem is. And it's like, wait a minute. This is Hellraiser. And they
Yeah.
say it's Hellraiser from the get-go. This is, what if you want Pinhead in your RPG? This isn't inappropriate. This is exactly what it says on the tin. What's the problem?
And this was the initial version here.
Wow.
And I don't have I do have the updated version in PDF, but this particular one, yeah, the people saw the cover and flipped their lid over it, but really it's investigative. It's an investigative horror adventure, and it does have these Cenobite like characters from this place called the Beyond. So
Yeah.
with the thing that Joe was kind of putting out there, that's why I put the two together. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, here we go.
Oh,
That could be a crossover with something like this one, Wretched New Flesh, which this centers a lot on like the biopunk thing you were talking about, and it's a monster. And they're coming out with a new version of this pretty soon too. But yeah, that's why I saw it. I was like, yeah, this not only could it be fun, but it could be something that leads into something else. And we're all big on mixing up our RPGs here because
I mean, what
why
you
not?
obviously
Why not?
do, what you obviously do is you play a game of Cyber Rats, but you use the setting of Wretched New Flesh. So it's like, okay, guys, you're leaving the American megacorps. You're going to go to Morocco, where they do things different. Because in Wretched New Flesh, which is set in Morocco, which is like a really interesting place, because it's not Night City, it's not any of the other cyberpunk places we've seen. What they do is like, look, we're gonna put organs in you, and they're gonna expand your consciousness and give you psionics. And it's like, oh, that's different and novel. That's very Cronenberg,
Very much so. Yeah, it does lean heavily on those Cronenberg aspects, but the reason I love Cyber Rats, and the reason I fell in love with it was because, full disclosure, I didn't have money at the time, so I grabbed one of the community copies to check it out. And no kidding, I'm just kind of kicked back in the bath doing one of my soaks, and I have my tablet there, and I'm going through it, and I'm like, this has such cartoonish elements that it's not something you could take super seriously, but oh my god, it's fun. And that's when I saw the like going with the interlopers, when I saw the mother as the final boss here, that took me right to shades of the movie Aliens, when Ripley finally sees what's laying these eggs. But when I saw the custodian, I remember going, there's Bub sitting. He just, I don't know what it is. He likes to sit right there just outside the bathtub and stare at me the whole time. And for some reason, I just got the weird thought. I was like, they're going to go up against the custodian. I'm talking to my cat. I'm like, dude, they're going up against a custodian, a janitor. And he's just kind of giving me that look like, could be worse, could be me.
Well, I mean, then you have, I'm going to give two examples here. First of all, in game, you have like the horrifying example in the careers of the rat that's not a rat. It's the rat that's the swarm of rats.
Yes.
Right?
That's a mutator, yeah.
Yeah, so you can be the horror story all on your own. You open your vest, all of your rats attack someone, and it's just this horrifying, disgusting, like eating someone alive scene. Because you don't have to be the good guy. But the other thing,
I don't think you are by default though.
Yeah, but
you're the good guy to you, is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, but because of its cartooniness, you can play up. It's like, oh yeah, we're bad guys around here, but not really, right? And then you do something really bad, and it's like, okay, maybe we're really bad guys here.
And this just brought to mind shades of Krang. This big mech. I was like, oh, that's so awesome. And Alex, who did you get to do the art? Because
Patrick Sinat is his name. He's incredible.
It's wonderful. I get lots of like old BattleTech, old traveler feels off of it.
So we're working on an expansion right now, and his name is going to be on the cover of that one as well. He has contributed. I mean, obviously the incredible art, but way more than that. He has 100% made this game better with all of his contributions.
This, I mean, the fact that you guys kept it in black and white, I love it because I don't know what it is about this black and white art. Like, I grew up with second edition AD&D. We had full color art by this time. It was like a lot of it was just, I don't want to say realistic, but it was relatable.
Right.
I missed the entire era where it was a lot of black and white art. But when, talking to these people who were into it well before I was, and they were encouraging me to like go back and look at some older editions, which I wanted to anyway. Going back and looking at these older editions with all that black and white art, not that stark contrast like that, man, I don't know what it is, but it stirs the imagination so much more than a lot of the full color stuff.
Well, so here's the thing, because I'm working on my own thing for the Wretched Verse, trying to work up my thing, and one of the things that came up is art, because the Red Room uses AI since they're a small press and they don't have the jank for an artist if they can get them, right? And I said, no, I've got to use a real artist and I've got to do comic style art. And the question becomes, well, why? D&D, going back into the day, once they had a budget, is very much like a Tolkien-ate experience, right? So you expect lush, sweeping, fully painted Clyde Caldwell art, and it resonates, right?
It does, yeah.
Cyber Rats is a comic book, and quite frankly, and again, this is not a criticism, probably a kind of low-class comic book. The kind of comic book you read in class that your mom didn't want you carrying around. And that's
Actually, yeah, you're kind of right, because I did have some comic books when I lived down south. One of them was called Terminal Drift. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of it or read it, but if you haven't, all I had was one issue. I read that thing cover to cover dozens of times. That was like it had black and white art just like what I have up on the screen here. And my goodness, I'm just looking at it going, oh, this looks like so much fun. This looks like the Ghostbusters firehouse.
I have a book that I lovingly have kept in electronic format called Gore Shriek, and one of the first stories in the anthology series is about rats attaining sentience and taking over a shopping mall. And they're secretly moving among humans because anybody who finds out about them, they disappear them and eat them.
Wow.
And then there's this, but the thing behind Terminal Drift was a cyberpunk style comic. And it
oh my god.
How can I put this?
Wolfgar, I'm sorry, but did you notice if you look real close, they're looking at the designs for the building base? It's called Fort Kickass.
Yeah, I did notice the graffiti down the front.
No, right at the front, at the bottom, on the actual
I saw that. But I mean, like the best way I could describe Terminal Drift was, I'm sure we all remember Johnny Mnemonic.
Yes.
Where Ice-T explains Dolph Lundgren's character is he's got God and technology ass backwards. That was exactly what Terminal Drift was. It had the Catholic Church and technology completely backwards. It was wild. And I was like, I wish I had more issues of it because I'd love to read. I would have loved to have read more of it. But this brings to mind that comic book because the artwork was in this style. And I don't know what it is about this type of art, but I always found I have a real fascination with this. And the reason I said this looks like the Ghostbusters firehouse. Let me just kind of rephrase that a little bit. This looks like the Ghostbusters firehouse playset.
Nice.
And if you were to put, and I had pet rats for a little while. It was only 2 of them. But if I were to pick like a habitat for them, yeah, I probably would have done something like this. If I had that like old real Ghostbusters playhouse, playset, and instead of like putting them in like a big, fish tank, with some stuff in there for them to play with, or letting them run around in a rat ball. Probably would have put them in something like that and let them set up and take up rooms however they liked. But I don't know, something about this kind of black and white art. Just, my gosh, they have missiles on the top. Okay, so maybe not Ghostbusters, but definitely what they said. Fort
I mean,
Kick-Ass.
let's call it what it is. 80s playset.
Yes.
Because all the 80s
Yeah.
play sets are a little the same, but they're also a little all different. And as kids, we all had the same thing. We all said, "Hey, I got the Ghostbusters playset. What if I put the rocket launcher from Castle Grayskull on top?" You know?
Yeah, I was just thinking about Castle Grayskull too. How it, when you closed it up, it was a carrying case, and when you opened it up, it was a full playset.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but so I mentioned we're working on an expansion called Rise of the Briny Bastards, which is a big undersea expansion. That one will be in full color. So
Oh,
again,
really?
I'm sorry to disappoint.
Color's okay. We're not saying color bad.
We're not averse to color. There's just something, to me. There's just something magical about it because it leaves so much to the imagination.
Yeah.
That
it's a trade-off, and like I love this like terrible like photocopied scanned effect here, and like we made the choice to go black and white on the first one.
Yeah.
Given that the second one is going to be paperback, we wanted to make it still feel like a quality product. And part of that is we said we know people really like the color, and Patrick does such a good job with the colors. Like that cover is just
I have to ask a question, and I'm not asking for like previews of a thing you're working on. I'm just saying in general. Do you guys have plans to add any other mutants?
Yes.
Sweet.
We have 3, and actually the public playtest of Briny Bastards is out. But we have 3 new mutators in it, and they are Kaiser, which is one of the enemies from this game. You can actually play as one of those.
Okay.
You're putting me on the spot here. What are the other 2?
I wasn't trying to. No. Something I was going to mention earlier, because my brain is like going through my wasted youth of anthropomorphic media that I was exposed to, some of which only I have seen. I think I'm the only person who's ever seen Gary the Rat. It's great. It's what if the guy that played Fraser Crane woke up one day and was a rat in New York, but he's still trying to be a high power investment banker, and in his office he literally has a giant hamster wheel because instead of working a treadmill he just runs in a wheel.
That's incredible.
It's hilarious. Kelsey Grammer, that's it. Yeah, Kelsey Grammer is the voice of Gary the Rat. But what I was actually gonna bring up though is there's a lesser known, except for filthy furries, there's a lesser known animated series that lasted about a season and a half called Road Rovers, about what if the presidential animals, the various dogs, were actually superheroes who jump into a transforming device and then go fight evil dogs that have been transformed into supervillains temporarily, because there's a bad guy who wants to use mutants to take over the world, right? And they have exactly one episode where they experiment with cats, and the cats are both way more effective and way more evil than dogs, right? And I was just imagining here for cyber rats, it's like, here you are, you're a rat, you've seen all kinds of things, and you suddenly hear down the grapevine, it's like, the Valadians got a new enemy, they got a new problem. It's like, we can fight anything, we killed everything, we're badass, we can fight the janitor. And then you go on a mission, and it's like, what the fuck is that? It's a cat! Because they have mutant cats now.
That's very funny. We've not leaned into the animalness of it, like in terms of like bringing in cats or things like that. In the expansion, you can play as a skeletal rat.
Nice.
And you can also be, this is actually a career, so you can mix and match, but you can be a Leviathan, which is like an orca person.
Nice.
And you can mix and match, so you could be like a swarm of tiny little orcas. And then the other one we have is you can just be a full robot. We have Cyborg in this book, but in the expansion we have full robot.
Okay, so we have Cheese Thief, we have Squeaker, we have Boner, who's a honorary bone skeleton rat, and we have
Boner.
Tin Grin. And that's our team.
No, we have a lot of new options in this expansion, and a lot of it is increasing tactics options as well.
Right.
So as far as the expansion goes,
Yeah.
is this going to be a Kickstarter, or is this going to be something that goes like direct to something like Giant Slayer Games, Drive Through RPG, Big
This
Emporium, stuff like that?
this will be on Kickstarter. It's coming to Kickstarter in October, so about
Okay.
2 months out. And we'll be doing reprints of the base game again in paperback as part of that campaign. But the bulk of it is to get this expansion out, and it's a big book.
I mean, the back of the core book has the biggest lie on it. Become a hero to humanity or die trying and get out. There's no getting out. That's a lie.
Yeah,
That's a lie.
How dare
Also-
you?
this book right here is 128 pages. The text alone of the expansion, so no formatting, no art, no layout, is 72 pages. So it's going to be a comparable size. And in fact, the tagline we're using is it's an expansion so big it was almost Cyber Rats 2. And if you're familiar with the XCOM games, that's they advertised the War of the Chosen expansion as being almost Cyber Rat or almost XCOM 3.
Cyber Rats 2, Secret of the Ooze.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I thought it was Secret of the Biotech myself.
Right.
That could be a nasty side effect of the biotech, that just, something doesn't feel right. Why am I growing a third arm?
No, Wolfgar, the biotech is fine. Okay? The only side effect is an appreciation for the styling musings of Vanilla Ice, and that's not so bad.
The hell you on, boy?
I'm just saying, sometimes you want to sit down, you want to have a little cheese, you want to smoke a little bit of the ganja, and you want to, fall into a hole of Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go. It is a wonderful time.
The hell you been smoking?
Well, I mean, it is in fact what I find under the dumpster, but I think it is weed. I think it is good. It makes my eyeballs burn, and I think that means it's working.
I think personally, I would love to create a rat that just kind of walks around with that dumb look on his face and just, like he's the intern. They're like, go get that thing from that interloper. Reckon it's gonna be difficult. Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna be somewhere between Sling Blade and Jeter.
Mm-hmm. I reckon. Mm-hmm.
I was in a streamed show where I played a big dumb brute rat named Freighter Joe, and that was about how he did things.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, like after we get done with 4 Against the Great Old Ones, we need to do a game of Cyber Rats. Like,
Oh yeah.
This looks like so much fun. I will totally get even more into this, and we will run it one way or the other. We'll actually run.
I don't stink. I have a wonderful perfume, and your human noses are just not nuanced enough to understand it.
Reckon it still stinks. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
funny.
yeah.
Not funny, ha, funny you.
You say that now, but I tell you that as long as I do not bathe, they cannot shoot me.
Mm-hmm. No, but they can't smell you, and you're pretty ripe. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean that's good. You like ripe fruits. You want a banana, right? I am a ripe banana. I am a rat banana, a rat nana, if you will.
Reckon I'm gonna have to kill you with this lawnmower blade, or knock you out one. Mm-hmm.
I think
Country as hell.
I think the scientists believe that my stink is a mutation because it is only getting stronger with time.
Well, I do want to go back to something you said earlier. You said that the new expansion book is going to be a big book. About how big are we talking?
So like I said, today with just text, it's 72 pages. And that's not formatted, that's not anything. So I would expect it to be a similar, I won't know for sure until it goes into layout, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a similar, this is 128 pages. It'll be comparable.
Okay, so it's.
I would be surprised if it was less than 100.
Like I said, I don't consider this a big book because I have much bigger books. I mean,
Oh yeah,
we got Cyber Rats right here, and like I said, this is 128 pages. It's nice. It's light. You can get into this really easily. I did, but then there's a game I actually worked on, which I'm not pulling this to shill it. I'm just showing off. Yeah. This sucker it's a beast, and this is another one of the Wretchedverse games, and that's. Look, I'll do the side by side, how it's going, how it started, how it's going. I mean, that's it. Yeah, this. So, if it's this size, dude, I've got a means of keep it. Like, I found just enough space on my shelf for this. I could probably squeeze that one right next to it.
And that's exactly, we want our game to be approachable.
Yeah.
If you come in with a 500-page book, you have to be able to back that up. And it's much easier to get to table if it's 100 pages.
As an example, here you've got Wolfgar. He's right at his desk. He can just pull things off of his shelf. I don't want to go pick up a book I have in the other room. But when White Wolf decided for the 20th anniversary to redo their LARP rules, right? They did a Laws of the Night that's pretty brief. I've got a copy. And then they did Werewolf the Apocalypse. The Werewolf the Apocalypse book is a brick. You could kill someone with it. It is actually so heavy, you can't pick it up with one hand unless you are strong, right? And it is not travel. It is a tome. It is an illuminated manuscript. You put it on a lectern type big. How is this possibly a reference? It's not even a desk reference. If I put it on my gaming table, the thud would be heard round the world. It is massively oversized.
And this is like the pocket
edition
of Pathfinder, which that's a pretty chunky book.
Whose pocket?
Well, shit, yeah.
Andre the Giant, maybe.
Chris Christie.
Okay. Are you sure he is? Are you sure he is not a bunch of rats in a human suit?
I hear his name is the Outlaw Jersey Whale, so let's just put it down. All right. Now that was Pathfinder Pocket Edition, the core book, which we all know the standard size is big.
Yeah.
I just pulled out my biggest book. This is not a core book though. This is an entire like campaign setting.
Oh my god. I have horrible news. Wolfgar, if this was a competition, I win.
Yeah, the
book I was just talking about, the Apocalypse LARP rules.
Yeah,
bigger than that.
How many pages?
Oh shit, man! I will be right back. Here we go. Here we go.
You're not gonna make me get up and go get that. Yes, I am.
Don't make me kill. If I die, you know what you did.
You use like a dolly, a hand truck or something. You'll be fine.
I might.
This is my biggest book. It's 900 pages. But the thing is, I've actually read through this. It wasn't a hard read. It's just like a campaign setting for D&D. But my goodness, like if I put this next to Starship Warden is about 600 pages, but they're both literally. I've actually taken a level and put it across both books, and the bubble is right in the center. So one of them has thicker pages than the other, obviously.
Sure.
This guy, I'll never forget. There's a guy at work who was on Reddit, and he's like, "You've got to see this." He pulls it up, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" And he goes, "Oh, it's." He goes, I thought of you when I saw it. I just kind of came across it. It's this thing for D&D, and it's this big book called Crown of the Oathbreaker." And I'm like, Crown of the Oathbreaker. I wrote it down on my little notepad. I was like, I'll check it out when I get home. I checked it out. Price was good. Comes with a PDF. PDF put like 5 extra pounds on my phone. So I was like, I was reading through that. I was like, oh, what have I done? And then right after I got this, they were like, we're kickstarting Torrents of the Spell Hoarder next as a sequel. And I went, no, I don't have that much real estate left on my shelves, y'all. No.
Yeah.
758 pages.
900
Really?
to be exact. Let's see. Aha. Yes, here we go. To be exact, 915 pages. Yeah, this it's not light. But again,
this is not light.
It's a campaign setting. So mine's a campaign setting. Yours is like a core rule book, though.
Yeah, it's campaign setting plus character gen plus secondary rules plus.
Oh, you got it all in one.
All the things. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why, like, and I can tell you this. I think Joe would agree with me on this. Because both of us bought the Old School Essentials box sets.
Yes.
I think when you break your game down into smaller books, it does make it a little easier to digest. Even Hyperborea, with this 3rd edition, broke it down into smaller books. I don't mind having a series of small books because there's so much, again, approachability. And your game, both in tone, like I'll be honest with you, I don't even think the safety tools portion would have even been needed. I mean, you kind of just plopped it in there and then said, okay, here's what we recommend. Let's move on. That I can handle. That I'm okay with. But when you have it broken down into smaller books like that, yours in terms of tone, in terms of themes, and I know incredible violence,
yeah,
and all that stuff. But I'm seeing, like, when I look at the art and I'm looking at how weird some of it is, and Joe can tell you, I love weird. I am all about the weird. But my goodness, yeah, that's
This
Please.
is supposed to be a portable reference for LARP.
For Bill Goldberg?
I mean, you can use it. Like I said, you can use this to kill somebody. This is heavy enough. If I throw this at someone could actually be hurt.
And they're obviously using thicker pages than what's in my Crown of the Oathbreaker book.
Right.
So,
No, that's like, I had the money, and I bought it, and I thought, oh, it's gonna be a little LARP book. Like, no, I bought 2 because the logic is you get one for home for your collection and reading, you get one for use on the road. So I had 2 of these. I gave one to a friend of mine because it's like, I will never use this. This is so massive. Yeah. I have the PDF. The PDF is my reference now. This is a collector's item at best.
That PDF probably put about like a couple extra pounds on your phone.
Yeah.
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 So I know you're not a fan of safety tools.
Yeah.
Part of the reason it's so important to me in this game in particular, that that's the first thing you see. That's the first text we have in the game.
Right.
And part of the reason that's so important for this book especially is because of the cover and the design. This looks intentionally like a callback to 80s and 90s cartoons.
Yeah.
And given that it is a game that deals with such violence, and it's a game that looks like, there's bright colors on here, a kid might pick this up and be like, hey, this is good family fun. And I'm not saying that you can't play this game with kids, but the way that you're going to play it is going to be very different.
Yeah.
And I want that to come across. Where, like, if I'm playing this with, people that I know who are my age, the level of violence that I'm going to get into, the fact that we're killing people is going to be expressly on the table. If I'm playing this with a 7-year-old, maybe I don't want to be like, hey, let's go kill all these people.
Okay. Yeah. And that's a good point. Now, personally, that's the way I would approach it. I think when I met my my preteen niece for the first time, that was just back in March. I was like loading up a bunch of PDFs on a flash drive for her, and I put it into a pill vial with her dice. I had Basic Fantasy sent ahead. She got it, and she was like, because she likes Stranger Things, so I wanted to give her the rule set that was closest to what the kids were playing.
Yeah,
and she gets it. The day she gets it, she opens up the package. She looks at it, and she looks at my sister, her mom, and goes, "I don't know what to do with this." And she goes, "That's okay. It came from your uncle. He'll explain everything." And so when I got there and I meet her for the first time, I was like, she goes, "Hold on." She runs into the house. She brings it back out. She goes, "I don't know what to do with this." I was like, "That's okay." I was like, I can break this down real easy. I was like, you like Stranger Things. Obviously, she's wearing a Hellfire Club t-shirt. I don't even have one yet. And I'm like, I should be ashamed of myself. But because I was the Eddie Munson kid in high school, and everybody who watched the new season was like, dude, that's Wolfgar back in high school. Holy shit, they made a character sort of like him. But I said, you like Stranger Things? She's like, yeah. I was like, you see how they played D&D? She's like, yeah. I was like, okay, this is the rule set that they used when that show first started. And she's like, and then it clicks. She's like, oh, so I get to play like they did. I was like, you get to play like they did. I said, but you can't play just yet. And she gave me this look. She goes, why? I've got the rules right here. I was like, yeah. And I'm reaching into my bag and I'm feeling around for that thing because I just flew all the way from frickin' Jersey to Houston with this. It better be in my bag. And I'm like, my brain's starting to panic, and I come across it. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. I said, because you don't have dice yet, and you need these to play. Right. And I said, and this is your very own dice set. I said, the only one I couldn't get in your favorite color, which was green, was the percentile die. I said, but I think it'll work. And I said, and if you turn it around, I said, you'll see a flash drive in there. She goes, yeah. I was like, more books on there. And I remember I was discussing it with Joe. Was it you I was discussing it with? And you were like, give her the Wretched versus Chalt. And I was like, no.
Yeah. I'm the kind of awful person that would suggest that. But here's the thing.
I might be the crazy uncle, but I'm not insane.
Right. But no, here's the thing though. Relative to Cyber Reds, bringing us back to base. My thing is that in the language you use to describe maybe safety tools are for this game, you say it's recommended. Right? Yeah. It's recommended. It's on the table. Use them if you want. Right? And then in your conversation here, you're like, well, look, man, if a kid picks it up, you might want to dial it back a bit. Because obviously, just from a few minutes of conversation, a few minutes, hour and a half of conversation you've been having with Wolfgar and I, we're a little spicy, but it's very much in our style of humor. We're liking it. We're riffing on it. We're feeling it, Mr. Krabs. The thing is that that's not offensive to me. That's just good logic. I'm like, yeah, no, you adjust your game for the people you're playing with. If you're playing with kids, you dial it back just a little bit. Yeah. Where we get diametrically opposed, where we get all feelings and angry, is when people are like, okay, and here's our game, and here are our safety tools. It's like, I'm not gonna do that. And they're like, but why? What's wrong with you? Are you one of those oppressive shitlords? And it's like, no, I just don't think I need your safety tools. But everyone has to use them or they're wrong. It's like, well, then maybe the problem is you, not me. I'm just saying, there are people that get really insistent on the safety tools thing, to the extent that other people have now become so anti-safety tool that it's equally obnoxious.
A couple of the points that I've made were I'll give you one from the past, one from the present here. Personally, I don't do snakes. Like if I don't care if you have just like a python in a tank. If if I'm at your place, just please leave it in that tank. I had a coworker who did have one in a tank, and he decided it would be funny to pull it out and start approaching me with it. And I nearly took his door off the hinges, like his apartment door. I nearly took that thing off the hinges to get away from it. So that just stems from childhood when I'm playing t-ball. I'm probably about maybe 6, 7 years old, and we had one of the worst practice fields in history. And back in March, I actually went out to that old practice field. Like I said, I went to it. I didn't go in it. It's overgrown, and I know what's there. And I'm playing center field, and my shirt crept up, and I felt something on my lower back, something like flickering at my lower back. And I was like, I just kind of moved because I'm kind of crouched down, and I'm like, all right, come on. And I felt it again, and I'm like moving. I moved up, and I heard something go. I went, the fuck? I turn around, I look, and there is a rattlesnake drawn up. Its tongue had been flickering at my back. When I turned around, it drew back. Its tail started to shake. You've never seen a kid do an imitation of the Flash like I did. And I played for a team called the Reds. So there I am in a red shirt flying toward home base. Then I hear the sound of feet. I hear more kids yelling. And then I hear the sound of baseball bats just all. It sounded like a death metal concert with like a dude with 6 legs was just doing like 9 kick drums. Just boom. And I turned around, and the thing had struck, but it caught the hem of my jeans. Mm-hmm. And it was hanging on. And all the kids had grabbed bats. They came out of the dugout, and they were beating the shit out of this thing.
Oh, no.
They got it. They killed it, and then they used the bat to kind of like put it into a crawfish hole and pack it down. That, ever since then, me and snakes, we're not good. Anything with a body like that moves faster than I do and no appendages, that's not natural. I don't care what anyone says. But the thing is, I did sit down at a game. This is pre-COVID. I sat down at a game, and I think we were like I had to literally use someone else's book because I think they were trying to do like fourth edition, maybe third, and I had to use someone else's book to start character creation. And that's when I'd never seen this before. Someone had actually passed around sheets, and they said, "We need you to list anything you're not good with."
Yeah. And
I'm looking at them like what? They're like, "Oh, any kind of phobias, blah blah blah." I'm like, okay. Why would I need to list those things? So we don't put them in the game. And I'm like, "Oh, no, we're good." And I just handed him this blank sheet. He hands it back, and I'm like, "No, we're good. We're good." To me, it's all imaginary, and we're good. So, Raven here is not good with snakes. However, my barbarian character, my level 1 barbarian, those are probably just going to piss him off. So I'm like, okay, I'm good with that being in the game. Now that's the past example. The most recent example, one of the things I am not good with is, this is why I won't go see The Sound of Freedom, is I cannot stand the thought of children being victimized. I got a niece. I've got, younger members of my family than I. If anything were to happen to them, all future shows would probably be canceled because I'm going after whoever did it. So
all the future shows will be from jail.
What's that?
All the future shows will be from jail.
Not if I don't want to get caught with that cell phone I had to get in.
All right.
That's another can of worms I can get into. But anyway, we did have a game of Horde Wars, which the basic rules just went up onto Big Ink Emporium. And this is one I've been playtesting for months. We finally broke off of the pre-generated characters, went on to our own created characters. And now we've got this whole new adventure we're doing. And our GM, the Blackwall, the guy who wrote it, was like, "Are you guys good with like horror elements?" And I'm like, "Look who you're asking." Yeah. And we end up on this island. the whole town, the port town itself, is completely deserted, save for a body here or a body there. And we start like poking around. We find remains of, some people about our age, old adults, dead, desiccated. I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty gruesome. Okay, cool. And then it's my character that comes across a crib with the remains of a dead infant. And I'll never forget when that gets described to me, I went, ooh, okay, there's something I can't unthink. Now, to be fair, I did say okay to the horror elements.
Yeah.
And I'm still on board. I didn't go, oh, dude, whoa, no. I can't do that one. Now I have even more reason to go after, as a character, I have more reason to go after whatever it is that did that. And yeah, it was uncomfortable for me, but it wasn't a deal breaker. And I think the point I'm getting at is I really, my reaction to that was totally on me. I really don't fault Blackwell for it. I've been public about that. But again, like, I guess it goes back to something else from my childhood. My dad would be like, when you shoot someone, they don't get back up, right? And I'm like, wait, what? And he would tell me this stuff. He was like very brutally honest. That's growing up with a Marine. And he would actually sit down and watch what I watched, listen to what I listened to, ask me about what I was reading, and he would tell me what the reality of it was. So for me, fantasy and reality were two separate things. I'm able to separate those two very well. I understand that there are people who aren't. And back during that time when I was growing up, we did have stories about people who maybe fantasy and reality intersected at a weird point in their lives. They couldn't separate the two. And I think both my parents were in agreement. That's a person who should not have been doing that. So when it comes to those safety tools and things like that, my take on it is have those traumas, have those issues, and I do understand people have them. I'm definitely not negating them, and it's not out of malice that I would say this. Perhaps this isn't going to be the table for you. We tend to go pretty hard, but if it's kids, it's like, okay, we're going to dial it back a little bit. We're going to do that. We're definitely not playing Chalt, and we're not going to do the Wretched Verse because that's for another time. We'll wait till you're about 17 or 18 for that. But if we're doing, like, say, Cyberpunk, for example, I'm definitely not going to be getting into the more intricate surgeries.
Right.
But that's the thing on my end, because I am what we can loosely call a jerkbag DM. But some people have said I'm the killer DM, but I'm not. I actually prefer that you live, because if you die, the torture ends. But the thing is that I understand in the modern, using the internet and whatnot, we play with a lot more strangers, right? But we can tell if somebody's a jerk. They kind of out themselves real fast. I've never understood this thing of, like, we played for 6 months with this person and they tortured us in horrible ways and we just let it happen because we didn't know what to do. It's like, you tell that person to eat a dick and you move on. And the reason for that is because my friends know me. And I make no secret of, if you tell me you have a phobia, I respect it. I'll leave it alone. I won't, like, go out of my way to make you watch Arachnophobia, right? But at my table, if I'm the DM, if I'm sitting behind the screen and I'm like, yes, I will use your phobia. I will use the things that make you angry, because I want that immediate emotional connection where you go from 0 to 60 and you're in your character space now, right? And the reason I do that is because there's a story that my old man used to tell of when I was a little carpet grub, when I was baby Joe. See, my dad was an arachnophobe, but he was also a spider expert, because he was of the opinion that what you're afraid of, you should be very knowledgeable in, right?
True.
So there we are. We're in California. We're in San Jose, which is like SoCal, right? And I'm just baby. I'm just... And there is a wolf spider that has found its way into the house, and is approaching the baby. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. My dad sees this from across the room, right? From across the house. And it is told to me, the lore is that he ran and he jumped because he did not cross the intervening space. He entered the Speed Force and teleported across the house and landed open hand onto the spider face first, and then proceeded to pound it into the carpet with his rage until it was no longer a spider. And I'm just sitting there as a baby going, ah! And then once it was firmly dead, my dad stood up, his hands covered in dead spider fuck, and went to my mom and was like, it's on my head, and cried on her shoulder because he saved the baby, which is an instinctual must save child kind of thought, but he's still a guy with an arachnophobia and he touched a spider and it's gross. And I'm like, people have that inside them. Maybe not everyone. I understand some people might be like, no man, I just can't. It's like, okay. But some people, prefer to use their fictional escapist mediums as a way to address things they can't address in real life. You can't deal with spiders in real life. That's fine, but you like playing D&D because you can kill all the dire spiders you ever wanted.
I think that's okay as long as it's a choice.
Yeah.
Right. And I really think it comes into checking in with the players and making it clear. Like, if you have a new parent, you're going to want to be more considerate about how children are presented in this game. And just in general, I think it comes down to talking with your players.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like usually either a group of players are already friends. You already know each other. You already know what you're into and not into and what's far and not far enough, right? And if you're strangers, you already know how to be like, hey man, just be a little restrained. I'm not saying that safety tools are intrinsically evil. I'm saying that unilateral mandates are unnecessary. Now, individual tables should respond to their issues individually. That's how we do it. That's how we've always done it.
Now, so in this expansion we have coming out, Rise of the Briny Bastards, there is, it's a safety tool. We don't call it a safety tool, but it is a safety tool, and it is in the rules as a rule that you have to follow. And I'm going to share what this is.
It's more of a face mask.
we have a new mechanic that is, and Joe, you mentioned this earlier, of relationships between different rats. We have rules for relationships, and the first one that you have is your operative can develop a crush on another operative. And if you do that, you have to write their name on your character sheet with little hearts around it. Just to have fun. But if you have so let's say that I have a crush on your operative, Raven. During a mission, I can throw myself in front of any harm that would come to your operative once, and I can take it instead of you.
So you've done that as a mechanic.
That's a mechanic.
Okay.
And so I have to decide, secretly that I have a crush on you. I write your name on my character sheet with little hearts around it. And you might know, you might not know, but during a mission, I can throw myself in front of you. And then after the mission, I have to decide whether or not to come clean. Now, after we present this rule in text, there's a very important line. And it says, hey, don't be weird about this. And that is a safety tool. And that is a rule that is essential because I don't have to tell you this. There are people at a table who, if given permission to have a crush on another player, will be weird about it.
Yeah, no, I very much don't like those people.
So, being able to point to the book and be like, hey, I'm going to check, I need to check, is it okay if Ratty Horror Picture Show, to take one of my players' characters, I love that name, has a crush on your character? And if you say no, that's the end of it. I'll pick a different relationship. We can be rivals.
And Patty, who's been listening in, says, I want a crush on Raven. I bet he conditions his beard. I don't. It's just body wash.
Look, You two can exchange beard details. I'm just going to be standing here with a camera. Don't mind
Patty,
me.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I dashed your illusions of my beard. It's just body wash, bro. It's just dial body wash.
In matter of point, a while back, because I have a pretty epic beard, and a friend of mine has a pretty epic beard. We used to tell people that in secret, we just stand very close together and touch beards because it's not gay.
Oh no, we're breaking up. Darn the bad luck.
Oh no!
This is why. This for those who can't figure out why I'm still single. This is why I just use dial body wash on my beard. That's why.
That's what we need, Raven. We need to get a all stars together for the Cyber Rats game. So it's like you and me and Patty.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, Damnedest Bastard would be fun. He'd make Conan Rat.
Yeah.
What is best in life? To cheese your enemies, see them put through the wheel, and hear the lamentations of the females.
Then there's this, and this is why I wanted to bring this up. With this piece of art particularly, that is horrifying.
Yes.
Holy shit. That is like, I know I said I love black and white art that stirs the imagination. That one stirs. Holy crap. I mean, now, granted, this can be taken one of two ways. Either those rats were collectively inhabiting that suit and piloting it. I
believe that is the intent.
That is the intent. Or Fam here just got infested with rats and they tore through his stomach. And that was my first impression upon seeing it. But after seeing the deflated glove and the arm and some of these guys kind of laying around, I was like, okay, they probably all just inhabited that suit.
Yeah.
So
this is a psychic rat swarm.
So right here on page 37, I was like, whoa, crap. That's amazingly horrifying. And then I realized after seeing this rather large detail, that's probably not the case. So not everything is as it appears, obviously.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, look at this guy right here.
I mean,
He's not screwing around. Do you think he Easter eggs for aliens on? Yeah, come on.
I mean,
let's just kind of go back here to this section we were just talking about. Again, it's just this paragraph. It's just that one, and that's when I think if ever there are safety tools, I think something like that. To me, that's acceptable. Because that's a piece of advice. And with Old Gods of Appalachia, that was the one thing I was very, very hesitant to jump into that one because I know who's involved in it. And a friend of mine actually told me, so far as he knows, there's just a checklist in there. And I'm thinking, okay, well, if you've never listened to the podcast, I do highly recommend it. It's a great podcast, especially if you like horror, and this has insane amounts of horror. I'm also not okay with stuff happening to the eyeball. That stuff just makes me go, every time. But this stuff had stuff happening to eyeballs for like the first, not the first two, maybe like the second two episodes, and they got graphic in the description. But again, I signed on for horror, so I should know. It's the very definition of horror is something that shocks, and does kind of give you that exhilaration through fear. And I'm listening to that on the way home at night. That I shouldn't do that, but I do it anyway because I'm insane and I love it. And of course, I was listening to it on late night walks where I'm beating my feet for 13 miles, and I still every bit enjoyed it. But again, that's why I think it's a little odd to put that into a horror game. I personally, again, what I would suggest people do is, read your table. If you have grown adults, you're probably going to know, especially if you're friends, you're going to know what level you can set that to. You know where you could turn it up to. Instead of using an X card, you can use an adrenaline card and, kick that thing into overdrive. Or, if you're dealing with kids, maybe keep it on the goosebumps level, there's that sliding scale of horror you can kind of employ. Hostile is sort of like that. You can use a sliding scale of what I mean. If there's the cosmic horror, there's the alien star beast, there's the predator, and then there's the, we're stranded in space and no one's coming to save us. And there that those levels of horror, which can vary. But again, it's really about the maturity level, I think, of the maturity level of the players and the GM around the table. And I think I have seen my share of horrible GMs. I've seen my share of horrible players too. It's kind of a mixed bag for me.
Oh,
and
man,
it's over how many years now? Like 20 years, 30 years, because I really haven't been into it as much as other people. I kind of had some barriers along the way, but we did answer this one earlier. I need to go back because his name.
Patrick, if you scroll up 3 pages, you'll find it, or down. Right there. It's Patrick Sinot, right under thanks, aka Boog Tweets.
This was right here.
Yeah.
Well, while you guys are talking, I was actually scrolling through the book because I have an idea, but I can't find all the mechanics, or they don't exist. Because I've had a wonderfully awful idea, Wolfgar. You take a character who's the living rat swarm, right?
Yeah.
You bud off individual rats using the infector power. I believe it's a power that exists. I swear I saw it somewhere. And what you do is you're tagging corpo drones on the map, right? So that you can see them and see through the eyes of your rats where they're like traveling, and then you use that to develop your tactical encounter, because they're all tagged, and then all your rats will go back into your body when you're done.
I would still like to see the samurai, the street samurai rat personally, but that's I think that'll
street
probably
samurai.
Yeah, the street samurai. There we go. The rocker rat. If just something like that. But this is one Patty brought up. Oof, the last story in the Necronomicon kills me. The one with Jeffrey Combs as H.P. Lovecraft. I do love that movie. That movie's awesome. He said, I almost have to cover my eyes when I watch it. That's very true. There are some movies that are like that for me.
I mean, Patty and I were just on his podcast the other night talking about Reanimator and From Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about movies that are not kid friendly?
No, they're definitely not kid friendly. I mean, they're schlocky, but they're definitely not kid friendly. But you say the Kickstarter is coming in October. Is it going to be early, mid, late?
The plan right now is October 15th. There's a little bit of leeway in that, but we do have a pre-launch page up right now. I don't think I can put anything in the comments here. But we do have a pre-launch page. If you find me on Twitter, it should be my pinned tweet.
It's rules light, Patty, but I'm sure you can use a grid in minis if you really want.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, and I said one-page rules has some like Ratmen that could probably be used for this. But yeah, the thing is, it does the 3 mechanics, or the mechanic for the Judgment of Distance is close, near, and or was it close, near, and far?
That's right.
Okay, so close. I don't know why I went near, far, wherever you are.
We all know why you went there.
Yeah, I did. It's a song no one should know, and every one of us does. And I've got the Bellamort version stuck in my head now. I can't get it out.
It's near, far, wherever you are, and anything else is your ass.
Oh, shut up. Fuck off. So it's close, near, and far. And you can use a battle mat. Alex, I think you said you use Roll20 and tokens.
Yep.
Yeah. So
but that's mostly because I do a lot of my play testing online.
Okay. So yeah, you could use a BattleMat or Foundry or Roll20 in tokens, and
If you've
you know,
played the Star Wars Fantasy Flight RPG,
I have.
yeah, very similar way of doing it, where like minis are useful but not necessary.
Look, minis are great, but we all know the actual way to play this is with Cool Ranch Doritos, so that when you defeat
Right.
enemies, you eat them.
Yep, we did Jolly Ranchers.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I say, let Joe, come on. We all know Cool Ranch Doritos. They're a little pedestrian, just a little. Okay, and hear
Do not
me out.
bring
Hear
that
me out.
golden.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
Don't bring
Hear me
that
out.
golden
You know
cat.
I'm trying to
into
save
this
you
thing.
from these homeless who are trying to ruin your game. So there's my Alex impression, but not our current guest. But if you really want a challenge, your final boss should be represented by a flaming hot pork rind.
Oh
Your sinuses red line into overdrive.
my friends over on the Gospel of Comics, we have a plan. We haven't followed through on it, but we were discussing it because I can't do drinking games because I don't do alcohol, right? So we were
Right.
instead planning to do a penalty game where you have to drink progressively more horrifying things. And we did a search. We found some truly horrifying things.
Oh no!
I
What
don't
have
want to say what they are on this
What have you
podcast.
done?
This is a good family podcast. Because some of the things that they found are horrifying.
Oh no! See, there's the lie that Joe told today. We're a good family podcast.
Compared to the Gospel of Comics, God, yes.
Well, I'm gonna say this. The main reason I
seriously.
curbed the language so much today was because I know Manny has us on in the background because he couldn't make it today. I did invite him. I was like, dude, you're welcome here at any time. You want to join us? He's like, oh, I can't. I'm babysitting, but I'll have it on in the background. When he said babysitting, I'll have it on in the background. I was like, yep,
Raven, we have an informal segment on the Gospel of Comics we call Racism Time. I don't think it's a family-friendly podcast. This is a family-friendly podcast.
Okay, in comparison, yes. Speaking of comics, Alex, did you ever read? I'm pretty sure we've talked about this. Did you ever read the original TMNT comic book?
I have read the first 5 or 6 issues, but yeah, I'm familiar with it. Yeah, I'm a big Turtles fan.
Oh, my man!
I mean,
yeah. Didn't they? I know it was in black and white, but didn't they all have red masks when they were colored?
After they colorized it later, and yeah, they all had red masks.
Well, I mean, I now must ask the $1 million question: if Cyber Rats and the upcoming expansion do well enough, could we perhaps see as a expansion goal on a future Kickstarter a Cyber Rats comic book, like a little 10-page.
I don't want to blow up this spot, but I will give a teaser here, and that is Patrick, who does our art. He is a webcomic artist.
Oh, nice.
He has toyed with the idea of doing his own take on what a Cyber Rats campaign would look like in a comic form. So, yes, if the Briny Bastards expansion does well, I put a link to it in the private chat because I don't have access to the
I gotcha.
The other chat. But if that Kickstarter does well for the expansion, there is definitely a chance that we could see a comic. Now, it would not be a stretch. That's his own thing. That he has my full blessing to do. But I'm not. That's not something that's official.
It would be like regular Cyber Rats, but with hookers and blackjack.
And let's see. Let me go back here. Here we go. I'm going to shut this down for just a moment because I want to share this. And present. Share the screen. Yeah. Here we go. Rise of the Briny Bastards Kickstarter coming soon. I'll tell you what, Alex, this was a ton of fun. I would love to do it again, especially the closer we get to this Kickstarter, because the one thing we love, especially here at my channel and my circles, we love these independent games. And honestly, you like your imprint, Elf Lair Games and Troll Lord Games and others who use this to kind of build that crowdfunding to get their products made and out there. I think that's the true intention of it. Not these companies like Wizards of the Coast who try to use this as a free marketing tool. So we're more about like supporting this. We just came out of July, which was, as Professor Dungeon Master put it, Independent Games Month. I'm doing Summer of Independent Games. This fits right in. Even with September, I'm still willing to keep it going as long as humanly possible, just because I'm a maniac like that. But here we go with that art right there. And you told me the book itself, this new one, all color this time.
And if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see, or if you follow our artist on Twitter at Boog Tweets, you will see preview images. We have some of the new classes and careers and mutators. So you can definitely get sneak peeks at the art on Twitter.
Let me just.
Okay, Wolfgar, I understand all the guns. I understand the armor. I understand the biotech is delicious. But why do you have the peg leg?
Occupational hazard.
And why do you wear it on your groin? It's not really helping you stand. It's more like a giant wooden dildo.
Oh, so and so before I got to that, I do want to show this off too. And this is from Boog Tweets, whom I just went ahead and followed. So this is really cool because the first thing out the gate on his Twitter page, very first thing I see is this. Guys, just take the picture. I'm not really feeling the pose. Can you sprawl on the couch? Please take the picture. We need to figure out how your lore fits into. Do I look like I got lore money? I feel like I'm going to choke on this rib cage thing. I'm actually on fire. Please take the picture. Then there's more of this, and of course this. Yeah,
like I said, he does his own webcomic. He's incredible.
Look, this comic has some amazing plot. There's at least some setup and some payoff.
And the cover of Cyber Rats is like it's like the fourth photo and the first tweet.
Yeah.
This is amazing. And that's what the full cover looks like. Of course, it got whoever's left watching, and I know if you're commenting on Rumble, I can't get to it right now. Everything. By the way, Alex, I hate to like spring this on you now, but you're kind of in an experiment right now where we're not just streaming live on YouTube. We're also streaming on Rumble. We're streaming also on Twitter. But this is the hardcover. There are 2 left.
Yes.
Once they're gone, and they're not being.
We will have paperbacks in the future, but the hardcover is real nice.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say it. Pick up a hard copy if you can't, like, if you got no money right now, just grab if there are any community copies left of the PDF, grab it and start looking through it. I guarantee you're gonna love it. Because I know why.
If there aren't any up, I will add a couple more on itch right now.
Nice. So get that if you can. Buy the PDF. I think it's what $12.50, something like that.
12 flat.
12 flat. Okay, so 12 flat for the PDF. 30 was it 34 for the hardcover?
If you are, let me check here. If you're in the US, I think 34 is including shipping. Yeah, 34 including shipping.
So there you go. Grab this game, run this game, solo this game if you want to. It was a lot of fun to read. It was a lot of fun to discuss. Alex, thank you so much. I did want to ask this because we kind of got derailed a little bit. Your favorite independent comics?
My favorite independent comics.
Yeah.
Honestly, anything now, this is kind of a cop out because like Image is not really independent, but
Not
they have a
anymore.
lot of their like. I love Image Comics because they're all creative. A lot of their stuff is creator owned. And honestly, any first issue that they put out is going to be good. But again, that's kind of a cop out because they're no longer the Dark Horse. Well, Dark Horse is a different company.
Image is no longer Dark Horse. What an accomplishment!
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. I picked up an RPG based on this.
Yeah.
I have a 6-issue miniseries called Lazarus X66, I think. And I read the first issue of that, and it didn't really make a lot of sense to me. But I was just kind of like, geez, this deals with some extreme themes. The first thing smoking out of this one, the main character, her, Forever Carlisle, is getting shot to death.
Wow.
She's laying in a pool of her own blood. She comes back and kills the people who were trying to kill her. I was like, holy shit. I just found out this comic is 10 years old. I just found out, like, this is probably the best primer to that RPG. And I'm sitting there, I've only read those 2 issues, but I got a bunch more. I'm probably going to start reading some more today after the show here. But yeah, like I was there when Spawn #1, Youngblood #1, Shadowhawk, Tribe, all those comics, Savage Dragon were all, starting to become a thing. So yeah, I've been an Image fan. What saddened me though was when Liefeld split, because I'm a Rob Liefeld fan. Always have been, probably always will be. I know he said some pretty spicy things, but there have been some moments where I'm like, I think he's probably telling the truth, especially with the whole Deathmate thing. I think he was the one telling the truth on how that transpired. And believe it or not, I'm still looking for issues of that. So I got my local comic shop on the lookout for that. If he comes across any, I was like, I'll take them off your hands. I know nobody else wants them. I want them.
Look, everybody has that uncle or that grandparent that says spicy things that you kind of regret that they said, but they're still your uncle and or grandfather.
Yeah, true. But this, I think, yeah, I'm totally in agreement on the Image Comics front, because Image Comics was what I grew up on. Like I still loved Marvel back in the day because, Wolverine and the Punisher, man, they reminded me of my dad. We kicked it off, start talking about father-son relationships, and here we go. And I gotta say, like, personally, my favorite indie comic of all time is still going to be The Crow. I got a soft spot for that one. I just got the graphic novel reprint, so when you open it up, first page is from James O'Barr. It's a dedication to Brandon Lee. I got a Crow action figure up here, still in the box, right next to a Bruce Lee action figure. So father and son reunited. I'm a huge fan of that kind of thing. It just comes from a time in my life where I kind of found the dark, broody, and goth to be, interesting.
Right.
But yeah, those are mine. Yeah, go ahead.
To try and answer your question, and I think it has finished now, but Morning Glories was it was like 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I think. It was an Image comic called Morning Glories, and it's about these children who get sent off to a boarding school and slowly learn that, like, things are weird. Like, their parents stop returning their calls, and like, it's really good. It's really creepy. For something a little more modern, I've been enjoying Mark Millar was obviously big on Marvel for a long time, and he's kind of branched out and is doing a series called The Ambassadors. And that is pretty good. It's still supers, and it's Mark Millar, but it's up his wheelhouse. And it's basically like there are 6 people in the world who can have superpowers at one time. It's good. I don't want to say too much about it, but the artwork is very good. And of course, Saga. If that's still indie, I don't even know.
My favorite indie is not an indie, which sounds weird to say, but back in the day, I read Marvel almost exclusively with a peppering of DC, and then, of course, I'd pick up comics sort of catch as catch can, so I couldn't really have a following. But I just like you're saying how you were in early on Image, I was in early on Dark Horse, which we were just teasing about. But seriously, I was early on Dark Horse because I am a huge Predator fan. Given
Oh
the
yeah.
choice between Predator and Alien, I prefer Predator, but they're both good.
So are you following the Wolverine versus Predator?
I mean, obviously Wolverine's going to win, but that doesn't mean
Yeah,
that it's not
no
a good
question.
fight.
Yeah.
You see the Yacha come out with that arm, those arm blades, and he's like, "Cute story, bub."
Yeah.
I got three
But
of them.
my actual favorite Dark Horse Predator run, back when they used to do good Predator books that weren't Predator versus the Justice League, was a 5-issue mini called Race War, about a Predator who breaks into a human prison, like a high-end
Yeah, I remember
holding
that one.
facility, because he's killing serial killers in the prison, right?
I remember that one. That was awesome.
So the CIA gets a contractor, basically a hitman. They give him a cover and they send him into the prison. And once he's there, he's like, "Oh shit, this is all wrong. Everything is bad." So he actually has to broker a peace between like the Aryan Brotherhood and the Nation of Islam type guys with the serial numbers filed off to convince them to work together, because the only way anyone in the prison's going to survive is if they kill the Predator together. And they actually fight it into the execution chamber and gas chamber it once they got the helmet off. And it's just a bunch of dudes literally holding down a 9-foot tall alien murder machine and gassing it. It's amazing.
Well, I'll tell you this, Joe. I have something in my hand right now I think you'll like. I've shown this on Twitter, but I think you'll
Are
like
you
it.
sure you should be showing that on stream, Raven? Nice.
Yeah, I saw Cyberpunk, and it's one of my favorite games. You mentioned Dark Horse. I was like, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I had to pick this one up.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
in the dollar bin, and I was like, yeah, but right behind it, because why would I not? I love this character. I also love Purgatory, which was her rival.
See, I am.
There
Here's
it
the
is.
thing.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I am not
I
a
need to
fan
check
of
that
Lady
out.
Death or Purgatory for lore. I find the lore of their comics awful. But
What?
you know what? I'm a 15-year-old boy at heart. There
Yeah.
are at least 2 things about Lady Death that I don't mind. I'll let you figure out what those are.
Well, I've got a couple of I got a few comic books in here. My mom literally bought them, had them autographed, and sent them to me for Christmas. I'll be honest with you. Aside from my Deadpool comic that the Circle Chase #1 that was autographed with the COA in it, these are when it comes to my autograph stuff, I don't take them out and I don't really read them. Roll Initiative, I've shown that one off on Twitter, and it's a couple graphic novels, and it's set in a D&D style world. Actually, believe it or not, that and Dead Reckoning. Dead Reckoning is a Western zombie apocalypse type of story, from what I'm gathering. And I've gently taken them out, gently flipped through them, and put them right back. And I found out this was a guy named Danny Allain. I think I graduated before he did, but I knew of him. And good dude, heavily comic book nerd like I was. Nowadays, heavily tabletop gamer nerd. He's actually running 5th edition D&D games, professionally. And it's one of those things where he does it when he wants to do it.
Right.
And I asked him point blank directly about those comic books. I was like, are there any more coming? Or are there any more available? And he was like, nah, I kind of got burned out on it. I was like, oh, that stinks. But it looks like I got those all. I think I got all the issues that he's ever done. And honestly, if you can find them, they're really good. I still need to get bags and boards for some of these because, quite honestly, I don't think leaving them out in the open like that's a good idea for me. They're just kind of sitting in a milk crate right now, and because I don't have a long box and I don't have enough shelf space. But
Oh man.
story of our lives.
So, random segue. My mother, back in the day before she passed, used to watch YouTube on the Roku, and I'd let her use my account because it was too complicated to make mom an account, transfer us out, let her put in her own numbers, and then it's just like complicated. So there are a number of channels in my subscriber feed that I'm slowly but surely scrubbing out, right? Because I don't watch those things. My mom used to watch classic cartoons. Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, no doubt. I still do.
Just now, Warner Brothers dropped a quote back to school special. It's just a bunch of clips from various Tom and Jerry cartoons, right? And my brain went, "Ah, Tom and Jerry Cyber Rats."
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
Well, because the thing is, if my mom was alive, she would play Cyber Rats. She would have been down. That's the thing. You gotta remember, my mom was a gamer mom. She was down with weird stuff. If you're like, okay, mom, we're gonna play an RPG. She's like, so it's like a Dungeons and Dragons. It's like, yeah, we're gonna play a Dungeon and Dragon. Okay, well, what is it? It's like you're gonna be Tom and Jerry, but you're gonna be rats with big guns. It's like, can I have a bigger gun? It's like, you can have the biggest gun, mom.
Your entire arm can be a gun.
Yeah, and she'd be down. She and I would be busily compiling right now how to make a rat in a combat wheelchair that's an actual tank, because my mom would be in a wheelchair, so she'd be just like, Kaboom.
No lies detected there.
Yeah.
That's where I'd see something like a combat wheelchair. That's where I would see that would make total sense.
Well, you'd either make like little grindy treads that leave damage in their wake, or you make it a little tiny hover chair that can only go about an inch above the ground.
True, like Professor X's hovercraft.
Yeah, right, but with like side guns and sponsons and a.
Yeah, and I think this. Oh my God, I've had so much fun with this because I can't wait for Rise of the Briny Bastards. What can you, Alex? Can you tell us what the funding goal will be, or like give us a ballpark on that, or are you still looking into it?
I can say ballpark. It will probably be about 5,000.
That's not much.
It's not much.
That's not a big goal.
Look, the obvious answer for anyone in the audience watching is shut up and give him all your money.
But I mean, you can see right now we've only got about 23 people watching or 25 people watching the Kickstarter. So like we do need like
26 including me.
26 including you. So it's not a huge goal, but you know, it's very difficult to reach with 26 people. But if we can get the word out, it should be manageable, and we should be able to make just an incredible expansion for this.
That's exactly why I said we should definitely do this again. The closer, I will say, at least a week or two before that goes live, because I could say this. I don't know for sure that it was because of this channel, but I'm thinking I know I had a hand in it because I personally threw in on it. The Wasted Lands Kickstarter did reach its funding goal. It does have a late backers thing. So if you miss the Kickstarter, no problem. Just go and back it. You know, go ahead and get yours now. They're working on it, and let's get Mel some more work, because I know she's amazing and she totally deserves it. She posts her artwork all the time. It's really, really good. And with this, that was like an $18,000 goal. That was pretty crazy high.
Yeah. But
with this, I've actually seen another Kickstarter do like a $5,000 goal, and if I'm not mistaken, it's been so long. I think it exceeded its goal.
27.
What?
Hey, thanks.
27. Oh yeah. Okay,
27.
So you're 27.
I mean, according to my horoscope.
According to your horoscope, here we go again.
Don't you doubt the power of the stars upon our lives just because you're a atheist rodent.
I'm not an atheist. I'm agnostic. There's a difference. But yeah, the Modern Adventurer's Guide to Guns and Gear.
It just means you're indecisive.
The Modern Adventurer's Guide to Guns and Gear did just over.
Patty, are you 28? Did you do it?
It was cooler than 27. I think he's 28. I think he's 28 there. So we got at least 3 more, including us, to get in on this. Because Rise of the Briny Bastards does need to be a thing. Definitely.
This is literally an opportunity to put your money where your mouth is. If you believe, then the least you can do is show your interest. We're not asking you to tattoo it to your chest, although, I mean, if you tattoo Cyber Rat to your chest, we're going to see it.
It's actually extremely funny that you mentioned tattoos.
Best goal is Alex is going to get he's going to get the cover of Cyber Rat tattooed on his forearm.
No, absolutely not. But in the expansion, we have new character creation options, and one of them is you can get a tattoo or a brand of your corporate logo. And the reason I want to talk about this for just a minute.
Yeah, do it.
The reason we put this rule in is because it was basically a debate to say, like, is there anything that a gamer won't do for a meaningless stat bump? And we're like, surely they wouldn't.
No, there is not
a company logo on their forehead. And no, they would. They totally would.
29.
Yeah, woohoo!
29.
This also brings us back to that Red Dwarf joke I was making before. You have the Lister Rat that's just kind of scubby, and then you have the Rimmer Rat who totally has the Corpo logo on his forehead and is wearing the corporate dungarees.
Yeah, speaking of it, and it's fitting that you should say the Rimmer Rat would have the logo on his forehead.
Exactly.
But yeah, this is a game where you both fight for and against major corporations. Hey, guess what, guys? It has a live action role playing element now. So let's get on it. Now, as Cody from Camelot 331 will say, get on it, doggone it.
I mean, already, if I ever run this, I have a house rule. Okay, if I ever run this, my house rule is very simple. Your character's base equipment always comes with the corporate handbook.
Yeah, but
the intention of this book is that it sort of is the corporate handbook.
It is.
Right. So you have a copy of Cyber Rats to remind you what you're supposed to be doing while you play Cyber Rats.
God, Alex, this has been so much fun, dude.
Yeah.
This has been so much fun having you
for
on.
having me.
Dude, this is open to you anytime. All you got to do is just say the word. We will have you back anytime. No bullshit. You know, that chair is always going to be yours. So, and I can have up to 10 people at a time. So don't feel afraid. And at some point, Sergio actually suggested this just after our first interview with him for Oblivion Oddities, which I think he has a lot of the same. Like, he has a very ambitious vision. It's super ambitious, and I think his we all kind of share a like-minded attitude toward major corporations. They're basically soulless. I should know. I work for one, and I think he suggested like we have a creator summit right here on this channel. I was like, that would be fucking amazing. So I would definitely love to have you and Jason and several others who create games. Patty, of course, if I could get Tony Garcia, who just did Dystopian Dawn, his was like $5,000. He managed to make his. I would love to do that, possibly sooner rather than later. I know we got to wrap up that 4 Against the Great Old Ones game, and then we will do the creator. I think we'll do the creator summit like right after that sometime. I gotta schedule a little sooner than later because my boss, as we're getting closer to the end of the year, is now taking my Saturday unavailability to mean whatever the hell he wants. He scheduled me to work not this Saturday, but next. So I'm like,
Wolfgar, the company is not soulless. The company loves us. It's like a blanket. It has solace. That's what the company gives us. How can you not love the company? Look at all this cheese.
the cheese is horrible! It's not even real cheese!
Are you saying the cheese is a
It's
lie?
not real! Real cheese, let's go!
I just can't live in the world where I am that cynical.
Trust me, once you've had once you've had real cheese, I'll show you it's not real.
What?
Sorry, I'm wow. Okay, JD Delay just like entered the chat on me.
You're turning into Sam Kinison Rat, and it's amazing.
It's not real cheese. It's not. Let's show them the face. Ah!
So, but Raven. So we have the Creators Summit, okay?
Yeah.
And when we plan to get together and have Cyber Rats, maybe that's when we can get Mr. Rinehart back, because he's already said he's played it. He's played it. He's play tested. He's had fun. So clearly, we get him, and we just have a big cheesy fondue of rat fun.
Oh, I know that. I know this ain't a scammer calling me because I'm about to frustrate the shit out of this one.
It's the corporation. I told you. They know.
It's spam. Right. See. Nope, not that speaker. Hello. Hello. Oh, bastards.
Oh, they are no fun.
They did it again. Actually, you know what? It's funny because the one thing you haven't heard is the landline phone ringing. That hasn't happened because I got so tired of these scammers that I just let my Magic Jack lapse. So I was like, I still have the device, and if I want to kickstart it again, I can. But
Wolfgar, we need to move. The Valadians know where you are. That was the call. We gotta go.
I'm not afraid of him.
No,
I was an employee for 2 fucking years.
No, set the timer for the exploder and let's go.
I came here to kick ass and chew cheese, and I'm all out of cheese.
Get in the battle bus.
I'm surprised you still have a
Snake!
line.
You know, that actually makes sense. We did talk about my childhood trauma. This is where we could play with it. So yeah, you know, I've come here to kick ass and chew cheese. I'm all out of cheese. Snake, you know. Snake.
You know, if they ever put biotech in snakes, I'm going to have nightmares.
Oh no, you see, in Mother Russia, biotech do you. We have snake to prove.
Are there Soviet rats?
No. We give this to Chihuahua. We import from Mexico. We do this to Chihuahua. Chihuahua very strong, crazy like fucking rat, strong like fucking bear.
Well, look, because I will tell you, if anyone ever told you that there are no cats in America, they lied. It is a lie. There are many cats in America.
We know there are cats in America. We're the ones that sent them there. Sent them from Egypt. It was all good. Infiltrated your country, keep it all. I mean, American.
Look, they don't look like cats. They look like very tall, skinny rats who've been shaved.
What if we give rats the glasses?
The goggles do nothing.
Hoffman
This is the part I love. I love that we're here goofing off, Wolfgar, and down here is little Mr. Reinhardt's face, and he's just cracking up. He's like, oh god.
Why do you think I'm constantly wearing these?
Right.
The light sensitivity is a cover story. I see them everywhere. You put on these glasses, or you start eating that trash can. This is where you could like take cyber rats, throw in an interdimensional portal, and put them in Chalt. that would be holy crap amazing.
You do a Cyber Rats game, and the plot of your Cyber Rats game is just they live.
Oh, that's like a campaign idea and a half right there. And you know it's a good one because Nada technically lost his life at the end of that movie.
Oh yeah.
By the way, no spoiler alerts, none. That movie is well over 30 years old. You should have seen it by now.
You have had all the time in his life to see Roddy Piper in a movie. You have no excuses.
I've seen Roddy Piper in a movie and TV shows.
I have seen Roddy Piper's greatest film, which is somehow not They Live, even though I love They Live.
What are you talking about?
Sam Hell Goes to Frogtown.
Oh, I've got to see that. I haven't seen that.
Oh, it is so bad, and it's so great.
I hear good things about it. I saw him in It's Always Sunny. He was in like 2 or 3 episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and one of them he looked like I didn't recognize him. He looked rough. I was like, dude, what happened?
His last couple years were pretty bad. He put on some weight. He, I think he was probably ill because I believe he got taken by the Big C.
Well, yeah, he actually lost a lot of that weight because he was in Legends House. He looked fantastic in Legends House.
Right, but what I mean is that you go from being like muscular paragonal guy to sort of a fat, out of shape guy to losing all your weight, but you're really, really gaunt.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. I because he was in a movie called The Saint, and he looked pretty ragged.
Wait, the one with Val Kilmer?
No.
Oh, okay, different.
It's a lower budget, based on a true story, but not, in which a former wrestler becomes a town pastor, right? And he's so upset about local crime that he puts on his luchador outfit and starts kind of beating up local dudes.
Oh,
like real life beating up dudes, not like played for laughs vigilante beating up dudes.
Right, yeah.
And Roddy Piper is as close as the movie gets to a villain, because he's a wrestling promoter with a stand-in for like Kane.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of things going on in that story, but it's a movie. It exists.
I'm gonna have to make a character in tribute of the guy. I loved Roddy, even in his villain phase. I don't know why. Like the Iron Sheik legit made me hate him in the 80s.
So what you're saying is you're gonna make a cyber rat with a kilt?
Oh, totally. You know it's gonna happen, and I'm probably gonna give him My Family Tartan on top of that. So he's gonna be part of my dad's half of the family.
Ready, Piper.
So you know what? I'll tell you what. We've been talking long enough, Alex. I'm going to go ahead and let you close out, man. Whatever you want to say, man. Take your time, blow it out there.
I've said pretty much everything I've got to say. I'll just say again, Cyber Rats is out there. We have 2 hardcovers left that you can buy through Itch. Those are the last 2 that we plan on ever making. We will have future physical copies that will be soft cover. The Kickstarter for the expansion, Rise of the Briny Bastards, launches mid-October, maybe the 15th. And there is a coming soon, and by soon I mean later this year-ish. There is a Cyber Rats Radio Hour it'll be free. It'll be on YouTube, and that is just a radio play that I wrote, and we have actors performing in. It is being edited right now. So keep an eye out for the Cyber Rats Radio Hour.
I am both enthusiastic, but I am also sad now because I hate that things are so expensive to make. Because in my headspace, it's like I want a Cyber Rats biotech playset. It's like an old school 80s. You have your little Cyber Rat action figures, and you have little canisters of pre-measured goop, and you can just fire it.
Dude, just look up how to make slime. Tint that stuff green.
Yeah,
you'll be able to do it.
We have Patrick who does all our art. Again, if you do nothing else, follow Patrick at boog_tweets on Twitter.
Yeah.
he intentionally made all of this stuff look as toyetic and just make it look like something you'd see in an 80s toy store. And it works.
To be entirely
one thing I want to add about this radio hour stuff, to you and Patty both, if you need a voice actor, I am fully in. Whatever part you need, let me know what the character is. I will totally, we'll get together and we'll figure out the voice end of it.
Don't you lie. Just screaming at the camera is not voice acting. You are not a voice actor.
In voice actor, can do any kind of accent you want.
We did casting in February, and I think we had like 110 applicants.
Wow.
And it was so hard to pick. Like, the first round we filtered out like 30 people, but getting it out to like the next 70 was just so hard.
Hey, Wolfgar, you really want to tweak noses and do something crazy?
Yeah.
All right, we run a Cyber Rats campaign. No more than 4 players. Every time somebody dies, right, we swap out a new player from our collection of friends in the Gilded. Right? You have it so far? Right? And it's a let's play.
Oh yeah.
Let's play Cyber Rats with a rotating cast made up of notables from the indie gaming scene.
That would be so cool. Well, Alex, again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being so generous with your time. And dude, we will be spreading the word about Rise of the Briny Bastards, and we'll try to get some more peeps eyes on this.
All right, guys, you heard it. We have the religion. We got to spread the word of Cyber Rats now.
In my brother Clem moment, ladies and gentlemen, do you have a moment to talk about our brother and prophet, Alex Rinehart? It's right here in this book, Cyber Rats, which you can get today. You can defeat the corporations while working for them. It's that amazing. And if you are ready to expand the gospel, can I get an amen? Can I get a hallelujah? You will get your ass to Kickstarter and you will support Rise of the Briny Bastards.
If you don't amen, he won't stop. He'll just keep going.
It's true. We had Manny on a couple weeks ago, and that came up because I was doing my brother Clem impression, and I was doing it at work, and I just kept going, and I'm thinking sooner or later, Manny was our shift leader, so he could have just said, all right, cut, and I'd be like, all right, cool, but he never did. He was just sitting there and he's like laughing, and I'm just going. We've got customers filing in, looking at me like I've lost my mind, and he's just not letting me stop. And at some point, I just killed it, and I went, I'm surprised you didn't pull the plug on this bit. He goes, nope, I was just going to let it go. I'm like, oh no. He was going to let me dig my own grave on that one. But anyway, Rise of the Briny Bastards, get over there to Kickstarter, pop, get to following this. Before it comes up, we'll have Alex back. There are 2 copies of that hardcover left. I suggest you get them while the getting's good, because they're never coming back. They'll only be back in paperback. And if you have the hardcover of this, which I'm not going to lie, when it goes to paperback, I'm probably going to buy a copy of that as one to kind of pack around town or something like that, pack off to away games. If I don't pack around my tablet, which could be, but this one, I swear, one of these days, Alex, if we ever meet, I'm having you autograph this thing. Like, seriously.
Oh, thank you.
I'm totally going to have you autograph it.
I mean, if we assume that the Kickstarter is correct, I am more apt to meet Alex than you are, actually.
Yeah, probably, because we're on 2 different coasts, son.
Well, he's assuming this is correct, and it's not just like a mailbox, which it probably is. It's in Linwood, and yeah. I'm over in Lacey. So
okay, yeah. Not too far.
I'll go play Cyber Rats at Alex's house. Yeah.
We're gonna play it like that, huh, fam? Well, we ain't about to just breeze through the fact you just did that little nanny boo boo shit to me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What are you gonna cry to your mom?
I'm gonna go tell my dad.
Yeah, well, my dad would lick your dad, but my dad's dead.
Oh, he went there. Oh, he's behind the pot in the kettle. He gonna go there. Okay.
Clearly, to anyone watching, as we near the 20 to 3 hour, we're adults here at
Here
the.
we are.
We're fully grown adults at the Raven Wolfgar podcast.
And just to point out, who let me adult? I'm terrible at this. Who let me do this?
Oh, I mean, I'm not good at it either. I don't know who decided these things. They clearly should not be reelected.
Definitely shouldn't be reelected if they let me do it. I'm just saying, I'm terrible at this. I'm absolutely terrible at adulting. Absolutely horrible. I can't adult to save my life. It's an awful thing. Whoever did this was a terrible person. Terrible. You could just look at them and tell they're terrible people. But anyway, Rise of the Briny Bastards. Get your copy of Cyber Rats. We're talking hardcover. 2 left. Only 2 left. And we're looking for people with aggressive expansion. And if you can't do that today, get yourself a copy of the PDF. It's $12 flat. If you can't do that, grab a community copy. Look over this thing, and then grab toss Alex $12. You can buy now, pay later, or grab a hard copy when it becomes available next. If you missed out on the hardcover, this is such a fun game, and I can't wait to feature it right here on this channel. Even with you watching right now, I would like to see you guys play it. I will run it. I'm the forever GM. I'm good with it. It's fun for me. So let's have some fun. And as I like to say in closing out, I love you all. Take care of yourselves and each other, because I want you at my table a little bit longer. Always play what lights you up. And as always, play on, player.